lovely co-host, the Aspie Pessimist.
Hey.
Once more, we are venturing into the Iowa Chronicles, and those of you who caught last week's stream will remember where we got to in Far Harbour. We'll be continuing through those lovely Radiant quests. There are quite a good few quests there. Well, they're not quite Radiant, because they're not ever spawning, but unlike, Preston's quests and the Minuteman quests, they are considered Radiant quests.
Okay.
Because that you can have 3 of those active at a time due to the game's limitations, but every time you clear 1 or more of them, you get multiple more ones. They're Radiant quests, basically.
Okay.
Don't worry, folks. There will be more banter once the game's finished loading. Dealing with a couple of messages at the time. There we go.
What are you building?
It's an automatic mod on there. We don't want the automatic. We want this one. Right? We have standard 22, 10, 75. 10 being the cryo damage. Right? At best, 38, 10, 75. 125, 21, 75, because it's semi-automatic and we've got all those semi-automatic damage boosting perks.
This is Radio Freedom, voice of the Minuteman. It's
Long barrel. We have
nothing to report.
standard.
Stay safe out
Long
there,
gives
everyone.
that dish, and then you have a bit of tinfoil on it to be ported. Right. Basically, the base gun for this is actually a Volksturm there.
Wish I knew what you really wanted up to.
You can fix just about anything. Guns, computers,
Wow.
people.
Gustav
have the right tools.
Volkssturmgewehr 1-5 or 1-5. Semi-automatic rifle and assault rifle, experimental models of disputed existence. This was a rifle designed in the ending stages of World War II by Nazi Germany. And before you go, oh my god, it's a Nazi gun, why is it in here? This was designed to be made quickly and issued to civilians as a militia weapon. It's
General?
that's where the Volkssturm part comes from. It was part of the Primitive Waffen program and was intended to provide a semi-automatic rifle to the Volkssturm, the militia raised to defend German cities from the Allied forces. It was hastily designed and constructed and was meant to provide a crude but relatively cheap rifle that could be manufactured quickly and easily. It was a gas blowback operated rifle, which is how the bolt rechambers.
Hey.
Firing, historically, the 7.92 by 33mm Kurz projectile, utilising the Sturmgewehr 44 30 round magazine.
Hey.
The first production model was designated the MP507, and the later second model was designated the MP508, which had a forward grip. This is one of 4 games
Freedom's always worth
that it
fighting.
features in, and it's the only media appearances of this weapon. In Forgotten Hope 2, as the Volksgewehr 45 in 2007, Fallout 4 as the Radium Rifle, Call of Duty World War II as Volkssturmgewehr in the in an update called The Resistance in 2018. So last year's The Resistance update for Call of Duty World War II. And in Battlefield 5 as the Gewehr 1-5 and Sturmgewehr 1-5. Semi-auto only in select fire variants respectively. So Gewehr 1-5, semi-auto, Sturmgewehr 1-5, select fire, and that was released last year. We'll give it the marksman's start.
You ought to be careful. I can fix most things, but people don't fix so easily.
We'll want this for up close. We'll give it a reflex. You know, when we're stalking around buildings.
Yeah.
Oh yes. I upgraded the Deathclaw Gauntlet. Do fucking love that.
Hey,
We literally have the plasma cutter
PM
from
here at
Dead
Radio
Space.
Freedom.
Right.
Nothing to report.
You'd think all three of these would have bleed because it's a literal chainsaw.
Yeah.
Nope, only extended blade. 7, 11, 13. Hey, it's a 7-11. Well, we are in America.
Yeah.
I think at this point the
Try not to sever anything you might miss.
the only use for the for spit it out. Hey, there's our wolf. So Wojciech hasn't murdered her because considered an ally. Hooray!
But I might as well go look into how do you actually make mods for this game. Because
Yes.
I don't
We need Gustav and we need an actual Wojciech.
because now actually I have a PlayStation, it'd be easier for me to make them.
Yep.
I'm assuming there's like it's either going to be a case of there's like a creation kit or something on the console itself, or you need to have a PC that runs Fallout 4 or something.
You're
Possibly
tuned to
one or
Radio
the
Freedom,
other.
Voice
Yeah.
of the Minutemen.
Although I imagine it
Nothing to
probably
report.
be the latter because
Stay safe,
it
people.
makes more sense.
Sense. Bethesda.
True.
Looking at all of the ammo that we're carrying.
Just go to your back pocket, fish out 20,000 rounds of ammo.
Just because.
Yeah. This is just keys, wallet, phone, 5,000 rounds of 9mm. Yeah, I'm all set.
Let's drop off some meat and drugs.
This
That's what I
is
thought it
Radio
was.
Freedom.
Just meat and drugs.
Yeah,
Nothing to report. Stay safe out there, everyone.
We're going to... however, you know, we can quite handily...
Yeah, nice. I had to.
Yeah, we've got plenty of those. We need to cook some of that up. I was going to say, we can, instead of just forking over a metric shit ton of our fast impacts again, we have a way of getting other bits and pieces of the legendary recon armor by forking over a metric shit ton of drugs. We have a metric shit ton of drugs that we never take, right? So we'll leave one dose of Jex. We'll need that for a quest later. You'll see why when we do the quest later. It relates to the Silver Shroud stuff.
Like, there's enough drugs to kill a raider. Give me armor.
Basically. We'll keep those because we need them.
There's a thing in there called blight system.
Yep.
I can't remember. Did I try and make some really tortured puns about the Irish potato famine last time?
Yes, you did.
I remember something about that, but I don't remember what I said. And I'm assuming they're absolutely terrible even by my standards.
Yes, they were.
This is Radio Freedom, broadcasting all day, all across the Commonwealth. All quiet.
I rolled a common job.
Yep.
If we ever end up getting a
This is
camera,
Radio
you'll see what
Freedom,
we're talking about.
broadcasting all day,
Yep.
all across the Commonwealth.
Actually won the war.
Just him, just
Nothing
completely
to report
giving me
at
all
the
these
moment.
looks, and
Stay
I'm just
tuned
sitting
for
there
updates.
like, just laughing my ass off.
Yep. Right. Now we've modified our inventory a little bit. Our harvester is very well named.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's go harvest people's organs.
Tasty.
Well, harvest monsters' organs.
Potentially less tasty.
You fucking cannibal.
What? Once I learned it was an option.
Again, you fucking cannibal.
Eh.
All these guns we'd stuffed in here. But every time we run into a trash can Carla. Right, now, let us go deliver the freedoms! After all, all the horrible things lurking in Far Harbour may take our bullets, literally,
Yeah.
to the face, but they will never take our freedoms!
I'm just now thinking of an old like what's it called? Mock the Week.
Yeah,
Just an old Frankie Boyle joke about Christ, what's his name? Mel Gibson.
yeah.
It's like when Braveheart first came out, people said it was unrealistic. Mel Gibson playing a Scottish person.
Yep.
Look at him now, an alcoholic racist.
Oh, that is harsh.
Yeah. Oh, you should see Frankie Boyle's Michael Jackson's Children's Hospital sketch.
Oh God, no, no, we are not going into that. We are not going into that.
Yeah, I was guessing you've seen it.
Nope.
Oh. Yeah, it's worse
But-
than you think.
Just outright, straight away, nope. Because
I'm
of
not gonna say anything.
because
I
of-
don't want to get this
You're
pulled.
tuned to
Plus-
Radio Freedom.
plus of all with all the allegations and the lawsuits and
Yeah.
just let him rest in peace, man.
The
If
fog.
you do want to watch that, do it at your own risk.
We are not going to tell you how to find it.
Yeah.
Well, he's not, and I'm going to make sure he doesn't.
You can get the hammer out.
No.
Oh God. It is just for the record, listeners, viewers even. It is literally right there. Like
They can't see where you're pointing. We have no camera.
It's about what is that like? How many feet is that? Like a couple.
About 8 foot.
So there's like a there's a not small hammer about 8 foot away.
It's a lump hammer.
Yeah.
That's literally what it's called. It's called a lump
Yeah.
hammer. Either that, or I'm going to find some radioactive waste and turn into Godzilla.
That would definitely make a good video.
Oh no, just to stop your puns.
Oh.
Well, less stop the puns, more keep you away from revealing where to find that particular sketch.
Well, it's about.
I suppose the internet would provide, but we're not going to tell you where to go look for it.
Just type it
I mean-
into various sites.
Yeah, it's like we're aware of what those allegations were and everything, but seriously, just the man's dead. Let him rest in peace.
Yeah.
Remember him for his accomplishments as a musician.
Sweet.
That's what staggering does. Makes you recoil.
I don't quite find the word, but it's so impressive.
Because this is because as we saw originally with the guitar, it'd still flail into us, wouldn't they? And very I was about to say, but at the very least, we removed that one's head. Did not want to go to pieces, did he?
Nah.
It's not the bucket, but we have a bin for this mess.
Excellent.
Doesn't work like that.
I'm always about putting various viscera in containers.
This is
Yes, yes,
Radio
you are.
Freedom. It's 10 a.m.
I was watching something, I think,
All quiet here.
last
Stay
night
tuned
or
for
the other
Minutemen
night.
alerts.
You weren't old Greg, were you?
Nice.
I'm just thinking I got like major random on one of the characters. Oh, I know what it was.
Uh-oh. Just straight away, just the way you've described it. Uh-oh.
Yeah, I remember what I was watching now.
Oh dear.
Even though the fight finale.
Fucking hell, power armor. I don't want... want to take the Wonder Glow.
It does not want to let you, does it?
Nope.
It's like that old comic.
There we go.
Sketch. It's a comic. I think. Basically, it's there's a box of I think 45s in a toilet. As like hovering between the character hovering between get the ammo or drink the water. It's like he clicks the button for the water. It says like damn it.
Fire in the hole! Wow, somebody didn't like that. We didn't kill him, but
I don't think we're alone.
we blew his leg. That's the thing about utilising a weapon with stagger. The chance is calculated every hit. Because of its attack rate, it procs every single attack hit. Because of the attack rate is very fast, that attack is literally all the time. So it will constantly proc stagger.
Radio Freedom. Nothing to
I
report.
would have sworn
Stay
that we
safe
went
out
through
there,
the
everyone.
decon arch.
Yeah, you did.
This is Radio Freedom.
Well, the glowing one.
Stay tuned for critical illness.
Analysis. Normal operation.
I was about to say. So, the chance to stagger is processing all the time. Well, all the time that that the blade's in contact. So it's doing damage and staggering you literally 6 times a second.
Was it on this stream that I mentioned the idea of using a glowing one as a microwave?
I don't recall.
Just chain it up in a room about 2 feet away from the table and just put your microwave food on the table.
You'd have to wear a hazmat suit yourself.
Yeah.
Otherwise you get cooked as well. Bear with me a second, folks. No, it's just a message from Ground Order telling me about the redo event, well, the rerun of the Edmund Dantes event.
Oh yeah, you've got to clear the fourth singularity, right?
I don't know.
It says you've got to clear the fourth. I think I'm close to clearing the third, so I'll just offline that one, I think.
Yeah, just rush your way through London, basically. You need to be around level 50 to 60 to have a good chance.
7 at the moment.
I mean, not your master level, I mean your servants.
Oh, I've got Brienne's been out on 50, Gramps on 57,
11 a.m. here at Radio Freedom. The voice.
And you've got access to my supports.
Yeah.
Nothing to report.
Who are of varying levels, all above 70. Well, all of 70 and above. There will be plenty of assassins as well, and lancers in the London Singularity. Lancers lose to sabers. Assassins lose to casters.
Okay.
So you know Nita, Chris?
Yeah, I've got one.
Because you were talking about her earlier. Level her up.
Got you.
Remember, her Phantasm is an AoE. Her first skill raises the chance of inflicting death, and her Phantasm has a chance at not only inflicting damage, but inflicting death.
I wonder what the reaction would be if I told you I accidentally got...
I've been casing those ghouls for weeks, waiting for an opening.
and you
Yeah.
die.
I will fucking end
Chop,
you.
chop, bang, bang, and the whole lot of them dead. You even know what you got right there?
I remember commercials for Pellman's tools. Expensive stuff, but top
People
of the line.
forget that
What the
Iowa
hell's a
is
commercial?
over 200 years old.
Yeah.
Marinus. No matter what she's offering, I'll pay you 2,000.
I'll pass on the offer.
I ain't hanging around for
Now, on my Akashi playthrough, I killed him at this point, but we don't kill him. We get a quest involving him from the Mariner, but he'll only spawn when we take the tools. So, in order to get this quest, we have to go back across to town and give the Mariner the tools. Also, fun fact, the radium rifle's radiation damage doesn't heal ghouls
That's useful.
because it's mixed in with all of the ballistic damage, and in this case, the case of the one we've got, the cryo damage. So we are doing more damage than it's healing. It's actually a really useful gun.
Yeah.
I can two-shot a lot of people with it, with the. Well, I say two-shot. It's technically a four-shot because the one I got on my Akashi save has that double-shot mod.
Yeah.
So for every pull of the trigger, it fires 2 rounds, but only deducts 1 out of your ammo capacity.
Good afternoon.
So I do a metric shit ton with it.
Radio Freedom, broadcasting across the Commonwealth. All's quiet
Do
across the
speak to the
Commonwealth.
With the tannery?
Stay safe out
You
there.
buying my tools yet? Here are your tools. A fair bit of luck. And now to work on the... Mariner. All manner of good I can do with those tools. All manner of good I can do with those
Might
tools.
crop up later then.
Stay clear of the quarry. Loads of trappers.
All I hear is loads of targets. This is a fun one.
Hey there. You're that mainlander who just got here.
Remember I said that campground was involved in a quest? From her.
I should know.
We also get a
Sounds
settlement from
interesting.
from her.
I'd like to hear it.
I thought you might say that. My family, the Daltons, was the pride
Friend
of
of
Harbour for generations. Even
Probably
back
something he's
before
heard.
the war.
I wish Cat
It was
worked on
lumber
humans.
and fishing
Oh,
that
right,
made the
weed.
Daltons rich. The islands. Ah, with the stranger.
Let me guess. I'm the mysterious...
Ah, you're a cook. Now, Beatty was my cousin.
Right?
He was out foraging. Anyway.
I can remember the what I said about the ghouls.
Those ghouls.
Good.
That is where they are. That's where we need to go. There. It's literally straight line that way. But we do also, well, most of the enemies that were along the way have respawned by now. So, let us introduce those trappers, because they have presumably respawned as well. Let us introduce them to freedoms! Gotta love the laser sight.
Yeah.
Well, not quite a laser sight.
What was it?
It's a reflex sight. The thing is, it'd have to be angled down slightly, so that the point of aim will be where the bullet hits. Otherwise, that point it's aiming at, you can see where the dot is,
Yeah.
would be a little above the bullet,
Yeah.
so how high that's actually raised. So they aren't there. Boo. Well, we'd have to go to the campground up there. Optional. Help the Mariner again. I don't know if it's time limited or not, because you only get that if Machete Mike is alive. And like I say, last time I killed him.
Stay tuned.
Shot him in the face. He dared to offer me more money and to break a prior by way of breaking a prior agreement I had. Like, Mariner only offered me 300. He was offering 2k right there. But I'm like, no, just no.
Those tools you found are a joy to work with. It gave me this idea. A cargo freighter, founded with a bit of arc welding and some best to do it soon.
One cargo freighter coming up.
The island should... The ship's the MS Azalea. Once you mop the decks with...
Catnip, just like a plant,
Yeah. Catnip is does actually have an effect on people anyway. It's sort of a migraine reliever.
Okay. I'm just thinking of like a jokey little Ruby comic. Someone plants it in a beacon and like Blake gets done for apparently having drugs because she's really out of it on because of it.
Yeah, well, think of it at Hogwarts, Professor McGonagall.
Oh yeah. Oh god.
And then there's also Miss Norris because she's a cat.
Yeah.
The caretaker's cat. There's her. Yeah, there's quite a few cats. There's Crookshanks as well. Yeah, Hermione's cat from the third book onwards. So there's plenty of cats at Hogwarts. We want a hell of a way to get past Miss Norris.
Get her high.
Yeah, just as before she runs off to alert Filch, just throw some catnip.
Yeah.
She'll be whacked out on drugs, so even if Filch comes, she won't be in a state to alert him. Oh, a legendary one. One shot. Yeah, we could attempt to pacify the ghouls as well. Because of our the perks we've got. Oh yeah, he ain't getting up.
You think?
Oh.
All quiet here. Stay tuned for
No pulse.
Yeah,
I mean, come on, it's ghouls. It's prudent caution.
That message you sent earlier puts away a Necronomicon.
We'll be taking that.
Well, if you were alive, if you were dead, I'd have to raise you from the dead so we could have the stream.
Yeah.
But you're alive, so I
Yeah.
you know, don't have to raise you from the dead. Oh wow! Look, you see that email I've just received?
Yeah.
Right. Do I even own an Apple product?
Not that I know of.
Exactly. So that, outright, is clearly a scam. What's more, supposedly from Apple. Does that look like Apple's email address?
Nope.
Exactly. They think I'm that stupid.
Yeah. I don't know how they even get people anymore. I mean, nowadays,
There are people who panic and don't think to check the email address.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Like, I was just thinking nowadays, like so much information out there about this sort of thing happens.
There are also people who don't have access to the information.
Yeah, that's true, I guess.
Okay, we were... I'm trying to find out where that legendary one was. If we were here... It was about there, unless he's clipped through the ground.
That wouldn't
This
surprise
is
me.
Radio Freedom, broadcasting
Because
all
Bethesda.
day, all
Yeah.
across the
But it was a
Commonwealth.
legendary as well.
All's quiet across the Commonwealth. Stay safe out there.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, there we go. He did clip it around.
Yeah. Well, look, we get one at the pole hook. Take 15% damage, less damage while blocking or sprinting. Right.
Rise and shine.
No pulse.
Yeah.
Yes, this is still a silent weapon.
It's 6 o'clock.
Something?
No!
Stay tuned for Minutemen alerts.
Now, just imagine if there was actually explosive fragmentation rounds for the shotgun.
Yeah.
Put the like Expendables 1 through the wall. Just put the automatic mod on it. You could literally pull off that particular scene. No pulse. We didn't even need to check. It's literally no pulse.
I was gonna say, you sure about that?
Well, there's bits of him here. There's a bit of him over there. There's a bit there. There's a bit over there. I think his face went over there. I'm pretty sure his ass went over there.
Just picks up his arm and checks his pulse. You alright?
Yeah, no. Oh, look, the grenade explosion actually took his head off.
Excellent.
But yeah, the like explosive frag rounds, you can literally pull off the the tunnel scene in Expendables, just where just opens up, bang 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 bang, because it's an AA-12. It's like, it's a bit loud, isn't it? When they're rescuing Sylvester Stallone.
I think I forgot that automatic shotguns existed a while ago.
Well, yeah, it's the AA-12.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's the most famous. It's not the only one. It's just the most famous of them.
Isn't there one that's like, I think it's like a Browning one from ages ago. It's got a hell of a lot of recoil. I know the name of it though.
I don't think it was a Browning.
Yeah. All I know is I was watching some documentary on American frontier and all that.
Yeah.
Turn of the century kind of stuff.
Bear in mind, automatic firearms didn't exist outside of the hand-cranked Maxim and the hand-cranked Gatling of the early 19th century, about 1812. Didn't exist outside of that until, well, the Maxim wasn't around until the turn of last century. And automatic firearm development didn't get earnest until the years leading up to World War One.
I don't know what I was watching, yeah. Weaponology without Arlie Ermy. Didn't he die a while ago?
I don't know. Arlie Ermy. I think he did die, but, more than 30 years after he retired from the Marine Corps, he was elevated to the rank of Gunnery Sergeant. There's a very particular reason for that. Because he was only a regular sergeant originally, or similar, but he played the role of of Gunnery Sergeant Hartman in Full Metal Jacket, and he'd only been brought on as a consultant for the actual actor who had originally been hired, so that they knew how to act properly, to make it more convincing. Kubrick saw what Ermy was doing. He's like, you know what? Actually, I want you for the role.
7 p.m. here at Radio
And
Freedom.
it's a mark of how much Kubrick liked Arlie Ermy that he was able to do what he did. Kubrick was a noted control freak. A lot of people either loved or hated working with him as a result, because of his controlling tendencies. Arlie Ermy got to improvise most of his lines when it came to the training stuff.
We doing business? Whatever that is. Show me what you got.
Let's do
He
it.
got to improvise so much of his stuff. Which, like I said, given what Kubrick was like, was amazing.
Yeah, I didn't know he improvised all that.
He didn't improvise every single line, but he got to improvise a lot of what he did.
was like a that weapon on show. It's like an evolution of like modern weapons.
Bear in mind, the automatic shotgun didn't really come into existence until somewhere between the 70s and 80s.
Oh yeah, Shah Anzabel.
Shah Aznable.
That has something. I don't know that. Picking a cosplay of him at some point.
Cool.
I like his mask.
Shah started off a trend of what's called the Shah clones. Every Gundam series after, well, basically after his era, had a character with his mask, or a mask based on his, or a masked character in general.
Yeah. Oh, that's what it was. It wasn't a. It was a semi-auto, not a full auto. It was
Obviously.
It was made in 1905. Browning Automatic 5.
The Auto 5.
Yeah.
Semi-automatic shotgun. As I said, fully automatics didn't happen until more towards the modern era.
I'm probably just misremembering it because in the show they're like, because obviously with a semi-automatic, if you fast enough on the trigger, you can get a lot of rounds out. I'm probably just misremembering it.
Yeah, and bearing in mind that the I forgot to drop off all the junk as well. The British didn't switch from the Lee Enfield bolt-action rifle until after World War II. We were the only armed force in World War II to, by the end of it, still be using a bolt-action rifle. And the scary thing is, we weren't less effective for it. British troops were trained to do what was called the Mad Minute.
All quiet here. Stay
This
tuned for
was
Minutemen alerts.
dumping as many rounds down range in a minute as possible. The average was 18 rounds. This is taking into account the time needed to reload, and this is only being a 5-round magazine.
Whoa. Yeah, that's...
The SMLE rifle. Well, the iconic one is the Mark III, right? Short magazine Lee Enfield Mark I, pictured there, 1903. That's what it means, the SMLE, Short Magazine Lee Enfield. The iconic one is from 1907, right? Female Israeli soldiers were being issued it in the 1948 Arab-Israeli War, right? We continued using it for a very long time. In fact, there is some variants of it that were being produced until the 1980s, which had been these variants had been rechambered to 762 by 51mm NATO, so the battle rifle round, right? The Lee Enfield was a 5-round non-removable magazine. You loaded it with what was called a stripper clip.
Yeah, those things.
You know what a stripper clip is. So I don't need to explain one of those, right? This rifle was good enough for the army until that point of time. In fact, this rifle is still being produced today. It's a very useful rifle. There have been over 17 million produced.
Nothing new to report. Keep it tuned here for Minutemen alerts.
The short magazine is actually also still in service as well. It's a specialist, can be used as a specialist sniper. It was a 10-round magazine with 5-round charger clips, so 5-round strippers. My mistake, right? In that 60 seconds, that takes into account re-chambering the bolt, so lift, yank back down, and to reload the clip. The record is something like 22 rounds.
What?
From one man.
Hell.
Right, so you take that into account, which means that, bear in mind, that's an average of 18 rounds per soldier in a fire team. Your fire team was on average 8 men, 6 to 7 of them with a Lee Enfield, 1 to 2 with your Bren gun. Sometimes that was your standard platoon formation. Sometimes it would be all rifles, sometimes a different composition. So we'll run an all rifle for this. So 8 men with Lee Enfields. That's a full standard, well, platoon for Royal Army during World War II.
Okay.
During the invasion of Italy, a Royal Marines Commandos team armed with all Lee Enfields ambushed a full German team, full unit of German soldiers of the Wehrmacht, and unleashed a mad minute. The Germans thought they were under fire from 2 or 3 machine guns. That, from 8 men, unleashing that many rounds in a short period of time.
Nice.
Never underestimate a bolt-action rifle in the hands of a trained soldier.
Yeah.
When it comes to trick shooting, people will use a revolver because you can get away with a lot of stuff with them. But also, if you train really hard with it, a revolver user can quite handily shoot off all 6 rounds in less time than a man with a semi-automatic pistol can fire off 6 rounds.
I wiped out the feral ghouls at the campground.
The hero of our saga
Because you can get away with doing things like fanning the hammer. Yeah, so you hold the trigger down. It's like slam fire in the trench gun. Hold the trigger down and keep smacking the hammer. So, because the hammer will not lock back,
I wasn't looking to get paid.
it will immediately spring forward, fire the round, and as it moves back, it chambers the next round.
See that. I've been thinking, you'd never want.
I'm sorry. You must have been very fond of him.
Everybody was.
Yes,
But that didn't matter to me.
a semi-automatic. If you are really quick on the trigger, it's got a light
He had a
weight for the
farm
trigger,
little ways
so
north
it needs
of
less force. You can probably empty
working the
the
land,
empty
not
6
causing
rounds
anyone
in
trouble. The
about
island
2.5,
sent something
3
after
seconds.
him. A huge monster. Me, Grandpa, sure.
Oh, we've got to take out a big fog crawler.
That fog crawler's the
That's the spirit.
Yep. Yep. It's not a legendary one though, but it's called an enraged fog crawler. We're going to need to buy some harpoons.
You're going to kill it with a harpoon gun?
No, because the Admiral's friend has the enraging mod. It does more, not enraging. It has the
Need some firepower?
has the mod where it does
Show
more
me what you
damage
got.
if the
Let's
target's
deal.
on hurt.
Okay.
So the first shot will do more.
That's good to know. Useful.
128 caps for 128 of these things.
They're not 50.
1 cap a piece.
Only
Then there are
Alan's got
some
enough
really,
backbone to stand
really
with
fun
children.
things you can do with a harpoon gun, right?
Take your time.
So, we have, at standard, this was literally a ship, like a whaling ship mounted harpoon gun. You can see the mount at the bottom.
Talk with Alan.
You can flechette it, and that lets you recover
The island
them.
will catch you off guard.
You recover a number equal to the amount of hits they had. So I fired a single harpoon into a ghoul, ripped it apart, looted the corpse, and picked up 7. And then you can both of these reduce the range. You can have the barbed harpoon that causes bleeding. Yeah, standard sights,
Protect
a
your
gunner's
loved ones
sight,
with my fine hand.
short scope. If we take this back to, take it back with us.
Oh, God.
God fucking damn it, Law. God damn it.
Oh,
To the front, dock and back. Bait shot. Guns, guns, and more guns.
Well, we could, like, if only we could, like, put images into the stream.
Yeah. He's watching on and off as well, because he likes to stream. Over the fish hook, or the pole hook. Puncturing. 4 of them! It's basically a grapple on a stick.
Don't let the island catch you off guard. By my gun.
Armor piercing, superior damage.
All your
You think? So,
Like, with one hand, just like hooked into some giant monster. Like, one hooked into him, get your foot
die! If only, but it's a two-handed weapon, and it's slow attack.
You hook into it, it just runs off and drags you behind it.
That
You
seems
ain't
more
armed.
likely.
You ain't long for this.
Radio Freedom. It's 5 p.m.
I hope the
All
harbor's
quiet.
being good
It's
to
how
you.
we like it.
I also
Stay
like,
safe out there.
assuming you continue to cast the Death Watch content.
Yep.
Do you remember what we were doing? So I can't really remember
Yes.
much.
We were just leaving the we'd just left the outpost on the way to the next investigation site. Oh wait, no, we'd done the next investigation site, so we got. I'll have to go back over the DM thing to
Yeah, okay. So
remember.
I remember we destroyed a nest and got some.
Yes.
Got some grenades, wasn't it?
We picked up some grenades from the outpost, but the Vespid nest was at the next site.
Okay.
I did have to improvise. There was supposed to be no.
You're tuned to
During
Radio Freedom, voice of
the nesting, there's
Minutemen.
actually supposed to be no underground bit. There's no
Nothing to
stats for a
report tomorrow.
Vespid queen or
Stay
whatever.
tuned for
I
updates.
bullshitted that in just so we'd have something actiony to do.
Oh, I didn't realise.
As a DM, for that I shouldn't have actually revealed that, but I did. But I'm being fair. It's like there's something actiony to do, so it's not all completely boring. Just casually wire up an improvised demolition charge and get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Double damage if the target is at full health. Not very easy to aim this thing because we've not got a scope on it or any form of sight. And it would require jumping all the way back to Sanctuary to add a sight on it.
Yeah.
And people haven't come here to watch us flip back between Sanctuary and here every 2 minutes. They're here to watch us introduce the belligerents of Far Harbour to freedoms! Is it still a bullet if it's a harpoon?
Same basic concept.
Still a projectile.
Thing goes out of a barrel, goes into someone's face.
This is Radio
and then
Freedom,
onto the face.
voice of the Minutemen. It's 6 o'clock.
Yeah, well, does
Nothing
it cook
to
the
report.
face as well?
Keep it tuned here for updates.
I hope so, because raw face is just gross.
Carl! There's our one per stream.
Yeah.
We are practically obligated at this point to do one per stream. We did miss it in one stream though.
Yeah. Nope.
Ghouls. There's also an angler. Hit him. Oh yeah, you can occasionally recover these harpoons. These aren't angry. Frog things.
Yeah.
This is true.
Wouldn't want it going to waste now.
Unfortunately, reloading does take a bit of time. I hit him.
them to death.
Ow!
Yeah, that's not good.
The farm is over there. This is basically just a bait shop or something. I didn't tell him to do that. So I shoot him there
The
and lodge
detective's
the
life
harpoon
isn't
there.
an easy one, but it rarely lacks for excitement.
I started watching a new series earlier.
Mm.
I can't remember exactly what the title was. Something like Rise and Legend of the Shield Hero.
Oh, I know of it. It's been around for a while as light novels, but it's only existed as an anime recently.
The entire reason I started watching it was, of course, Cute Raccoon Girl.
Why am I not surprised?
Are you telling me you wouldn't be interested in the Cute Raccoon Girl?
No.
7 p.m. here at Radio Freedom. Nothing to report. Stay safe out there, everyone.
There are too many friendos for me to be that I'm interested in.
Yeah, that was my first thought.
Did you just migrate from Kimono Friends?
Yeah.
Oh, there's something radioactive around there. You just saw my rad counter spike.
Whatever it is, does it need a harpoon to the face?
No, it's probably barrels.
They need a harpoon to the face.
You can't damage radiation barrels.
Try.
You literally cannot damage them.
Just the idea of like getting a Sharpie out, drawing a face on and shooting it just because.
Well, at which point you've probably died from radiation poisoning.
I've been lying on the ground, vomiting up blood, my hair falling out, it's like...
Fucking high alert. I'm getting my experience, I managed to win you. And Nick. And by the sounds of things, I got him. Well, I got it.
Radio Freedom, broadcasting
Well,
all day,
we're down to
all
113
across the
harpoons with 515.
All's quiet across the Commonwealth. Stay safe out there.
You'll see the fog crawler. Well, you can't really miss him.
If you're anything like the others, I'm not sure I want to see him.
It'll be very, very hard to miss.
Hope so.
Because he's a big one. See him?
Yeah. Yeah, he's big.
Got him! Sneak attack. Oh, he's a stalking one, this one. We're at a different level.
That's worse or better than you expected?
Better. He's lower level. Well, we're lower level. He'll be weaker as well. And what I said about Mantis?
Yeah. Talk about whichever species it was that has like that. Really damn powerful thing.
I just exploded its face.
Nice.
And yes, that is the Mantis shrimp.
You're tuned
So,
to
like, imagine
Radio
that
Freedom.
sort of like, because they can, at the size they are, they can punch
All
and
quiet
like,
here.
damage aquarium.
Stay tuned for Minutemen alerts.
The larger ones, yes.
Imagine what something that big could do.
That's a very nice skyscraper doorway you had there. Be a shame if something happened to it. Quite literally.
Yeah. I can just imagine like, I'm trying to think of maybe like one for all level punching. I don't know, it's something I haven't read that far, so I don't know exactly what it is. But apparently there's big things happening in the manga at the moment. Like, big revelations are happening. Like I said, I've not actually read it, so I don't know, but
I'm still only on chapter 1 32.
Ah.
Let's see if there's any more updates. No, still en route. Must be one hell of a route.
Yeah. It's only about 5-10 minutes that way. I
Yeah.
suppose it's got to like go around all the different.
All the other deliveries, but you'd think they'd have come here as one of the first ones.
If they were actually planning their route intelligently, they'd do the ones that were closest first, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
11 p.m. out there. Nothing new to report. Keep it tuned
Oh yeah, for completing Cassie's set, she gives us the legendary fish hook. Well, pole hook.
They'll tell you Grandpa George was everybody's favorite.
I can't remember off the top of my
Grandpa
head.
George can rest in peace. The fog crawler is dead.
Wonderful. That's another chapter. With that fog crawler gone. That's right. And here's
We get
another
our own settlement. And 200 cats.
No trouble. Well, no, I don't have. But if you ask me, that's why the last part of this.
Believe me, I know exactly how you feel.
If that's true, my late husband, Daniel, was one day. Turns out their leader was having a little feud.
I'll make that trucker pay.
All right, then.
Right, we are going to need a good sniping weapon, which we have. We're going to need to lighten up a little bit as well, because there's plenty of loot.
Are there DLC specific traps you can get that trap like the fog crawlers and stuff?
Nope.
Damn. Want a gladiator fight between them?
A fog crawler and watch deck.
Oh yeah.
You do realise that's no contest.
Oh yeah, it's just fodder.
That's just literally your average meal time.
I was gonna say, that sounds like breakfast.
Yeah, that's not even breakfast, lunch or dinner, that's a snack. Just feeding the Yao Guai.
I love like watch like I imagine at some point it's gonna become sort of like semi-mythical figure. Just materializes behind you.
But you do realise if you're resisting freedoms, you will be you'll be fed to Wodgcheck. Who's what? Who or what's that?
Yeah.
Looming Yao Guai. We'll be good, honest. Don't hurt us.
Yeah. Somehow holding an American flag.
Well, yeah, you just craft a like shoulder piece for him that's got a holder for the flag.
Yeah. Gyroscopically stabilised, so no matter what position he's in, it's always facing up.
Always upright, and there's a little movement piece on the top arm of the flag, so that it will actually always be flapping.
Yeah.
Even when there's no wind.
Yeah.
You got a dangerous look.
I want to see that now.
Well, that means you've got something to make.
Yep.
What are you doing with setup? Wouldn't mind one of these at the agency.
Yeah, if we get up to rank 4 in the in Demolitions Expert, look what we can make.
Ooh.
Remember the big blast from them we had?
Yeah.
We can make them.
Excellent.
It does mean we need nuclear quantums, but we have a fuck ton of those that we never drink. While we are here, flechettes.
There's rumours that Fallout 76 is going to go free to play. Bethesda have denied them,
Although they are pulling it off. Apparently getting pulled off the shelves and everything as well because it's not selling very well.
yeah. I kind of want to play it just to see what all the fuss is about. To see how bad it really is.
Apparently, one guy, when he was playing, encountered a glitch. This glitch made him invincible, and he complained. He was complaining that it made him invincible.
The multiplayer begs for death.
This is Radio Freedom, broadcasting all day, all across.
Begs the gods.
What did you do?
Tune here for updates.
What did you do?
Oh, me.
Yes.
You assume I had a hand in this.
The bucket. Everything powered by screams that just powers The mall.
Oh god.
Sounding familiar yet?
I'll go Fallout 76, but I somehow start an actual cult of the bucket. I don't want that. It's just a freaking...
You see what I have to put up with, folks?
I bet you didn't. I bet you never expected that you'd be the same one.
Oh no, I knew I'd be the same one. I just didn't realise by how much.
Stay safe out there, everyone.
Oh god.
We dropped something off, or something, because we are now down £10 again. But we now have a, we should have just had the sights rather than the scope.
But they've got a highly accurate harpoon launcher.
Yes.
So you can pin a guy to a tree from like 100 feet. Oh, that's not very far. I'm trying to think of a distance that's far but not impossibly far. I'm not good with distances. You know what I mean? Pin someone to a tree from long range.
From a decent distance away.
Yeah. Or just get her in the knees one after the other.
Either or.
Yeah.
Hey, Carla.
Hey there. Trading?
I'll take a look. Sure.
You break it?
So we want the Argent cells, we want them. We want them.
This is Radio Freedom.
I can't get over the idea of an actual real players getting involved in the cult.
Stay safe out there.
You know they would as well. It's just that's the sort of stupid shit people do nowadays. You know you keep joking that you're gonna have to take me out behind the barn and shoot me.
Out back and shoot you.
Yeah. I think the date's drawing ever closer.
Clearly.
Is this what sleep deprivation does to a person?
It's not supposed to be this bad.
Oh, God. It's not that bad. I'm sleeping about 4 hours every 24.
You need more than that.
Well, yeah, I suppose so. Well, I'm back to only doing weekdays, so I'm probably gonna get back into a proper shed cycle. I was all over the place because they tried to cut me, so I didn't have work for a couple of days, and I did the weekends to compensate, and I ended up.
Because you needed the hours.
Yeah, and they were short staffed, so they needed me on a Sunday. And
Hey, Carla.
Hey there. Trading?
Let's see what you got.
You break it? Yep.
More rounds to trade in.
What's he called? Just remembering like interesting stuff. Like you end up pulling down a wiki hole at 3 in the morning.
Yep.
Yeah. What's he called? Oh yeah, Michael Malloy. He's an Irishman who lived in New York in the 20s. Basically, he was an absolute drunk, like homeless alcoholic. Went into this one bar every single night. He was always absolutely ratted, harassing the customers, being a pain in the arse, never paying his tab and all that. So the bartender decides that take out a life insurance policy against him, and then let him drink all he wants until he kills himself from it. So he does this.
Yeah.
After like, so he lets him basically says, right, you can drink as much as you want on the house. So he gets apocalyptically trashed every single night.
Oh look, it's the Deliverer,
He gets,
which we will never use again because we have guns that are way better.
yeah, he gets trashed every single night.
Hmm.
This isn't doing him in. They decide to so they sneakily swap his regular shots of whiskey for wood alcohol, like methyl.
Wood grain.
Yep. So that's like
That would kill you.
it doesn't. He's drinking it like normal, and he's fine. So then,
At the very least, it'd make you go blind.
you'd think so, but not him apparently. Then they start giving him like, what was it? They give him, I forget, I think it was like a sandwich made of like rotten oysters.
It's 8
like
o'clock.
meth.
You're listening to Radio Freedom,
something.
the voice of the Minutemen.
Mm-hmm.
All quiet.
Finishes
Which is
it,
how we like
asks
it.
for another
Stay
one.
safe out there.
Literally unkillable.
Yeah. Bear in mind, this guy was in his 60s. And then
Well, if the alcohol wasn't killing him before then, it wouldn't kill him by that point.
yeah. Then they've just had enough of him, so they take him out. It's in the middle of winter, heavy snow.
Yeah.
Take him out to Central Park, strip his clothes off, soak him with water,
Mm-hmm.
then run him over with a taxi.
That still doesn't kill him, does it?
No, 3 days later, he rocks back up. After being in hospital for a couple of days from hypothermia, he shows back up and gets straight down to drinking.
Does anything ever? Do they actually manage to kill him with something?
Yes, they stick a gas line down his throat.
That I suppose would do it.
Keep it tuned here for updates.
Yeah. Very hard to fool the insurance people if that
that's
happens.
the thing, yeah. They got done for murder and executed.
Yeah, that'd do it. At least if he drank himself to death, you'd be able to collect, because they wouldn't be able to prove that you'd done it.
Mm-hmm.
But nope.
Just
the 20s, man, different time.
yeah.
But how much was the policy actually worth?
I think it was the modern equivalent of about 10 grand.
That's not very much at all.
Yeah. It was either 10 or 100. Let me check.
Still, that's not a lot.
Yeah. When was the Great Depression?
1920s.
Yeah, that's probably what it was.
Yeah. Suppose that would explain it then, but still. We are sneaking. We are sneaking.
Oh, it was 3,500 at the time, which is 66,000 by 2017 standards.
Even then, that's... Okay, that's a lot for... Kind of, but... As policies go, that's still crap. The average life insurance policy these days is a minimum of 100 grand.
Yeah.
Bear in mind, that's $66,000. You translate that back into pounds, it only works out at around 45 to 50,000 pounds.
Yeah. It's not a great. That's not all that much for killing someone, is it?
It's not all that much for a life insurance policy in general.
Yeah. I was looking at. They also tried antifreeze, turpentine, horse liniment, and rat poison.
That would normally do it.
Any one of those would normally do it.
So I said that would normally do it.
What about?
So we have to quantify that as normally.
Yeah. Oh yeah, a sandwich of spoiled sardines, poison, and carpet tacks. But he was fine. He asked for another.
Voice of the Minutemen.
Oh, fuck.
Nothing to report.
Like,
Stay safe
it's
out there,
possible
everyone.
that some of this is like sensationalized, but I really hope it isn't.
Oh, you mean like the whole thing with Rasputin?
Yeah.
Who did actually die from the first attempt, but you know.
Yeah.
That's nowhere near as entertaining.
Yeah. Well, that whole thing as well. Like, he was also unkillable.
Yeah. With Rasputin, reputedly, poisoned wine, drank that, no problem. The poisoned cupcakes, ate them, no problem. So if you, well, the poisoned food, but the thing is, when you cook it, the poison would actually be broken down by the cooking process.
Ah.
This is Radio
So
Freedom,
that one wouldn't have killed him
all
anyway,
day, all across the
unless they
Commonwealth.
added it afterwards, but they did it whilst it was being cooked.
Stay safe, people.
So they shot him. Apparently that still didn't kill him. Well, they shot and stabbed him repeatedly. That didn't kill him. So they beat him unconscious, wrapped him up in a in a carpet, and dumped that in the freezing Volga River. And apparently, the cause of death was drowning. Not wasn't what's it? It wasn't the wasn't the gunshots. It wasn't the wasn't hypothermia. It was literally drowning because the river was frozen over. That's the historically claimed cause of death. In actuality, he was dead long before that. But he's literally the codifier for Rasputinian death as a result.
I wasn't aware that was like a trope.
Bear with me a second, folks.
Here we go. You know it's good when he goes for the trope. He goes for the trope pages.
Yep. Rasputinian death. In which multiple things happen to a character, any of which ought to be fatal. Eventually one of them is. There can be several reasons for this. One, the character is just that tough, and the killers want to make absolutely sure they go down and stay down.
Is Malloy on here?
Don't know. Number two, the character is backed by powers that be or some other supernatural being. 3, the first fatal thing that happens is relatively slow acting, and knowledge of that leads them to do something drastic. Number 4, someone really hates them. Number 5, it's funny. The trope takes its name from a myth spread by Prince Felix Yusupov about the assassination of Grigory Rasputin in 1916, which many scholars had analysed and found semi-plausible explanations for how Rasputin could have survived the abuse that he was allegedly put through. Ironically, his real-life death wasn't at all Rasputinian. The 1916 autopsy report, as discovered after the Cold War and reviewed by American and Russian doctors in 2002, shows that Rasputin was shot twice in the back with a final bullet to the head with a .455 Webley, which killed him instantly. He was also he was probably also poisoned, as this detail dates back to the earliest tales of his death. Exactly why the poison didn't seem to work is a subject of contention. According to Yusupov's own testimony, the poison was mixed in with brandy and desserts that probably neutralised the poison entirely with their high sugar content. And Rasputin's daughter adds that after being stabbed in the gut a few years prior, Rasputin had hyperacidity and sugar set it off, so he wouldn't have eaten much dessert, if any. Another possibility is that the poison, cyanide, which was the fatal poison used in the Jonestown mass murder and which was mixed with Flavor Aid, which is loaded with sugar, which did nothing to subvert the drug's lethality, works off stomach acid to trigger, and Rasputin's stabbing and the altered state of his own digestive system afterwards, due to the semi-crude emergency surgery performed, produced little stomach acid, hence causing this poison to fail. And while he may well have tried to avoid sweets, he was a massive alcoholic who was constantly drunk out of his gourd and most likely drunk ate the cakes. However, his killers wanted to portray him as a near indestructible son of Satan, because bear in mind this was in the build-up to the Russian Revolution.
Yeah.
So they made up an elaborate story about how he survived poison, beating and bullet wounds, only to drown in the Neva. Sorry, it was the Neva, not the Volga.
Okay.
Later embellishments by Yusupov, he thought of an entirely new one every time he was short on money, even had Rasputin dying of hypothermia, having attempted to claw through the ice that covered him, and to top it off, when they cremated him, his body was trying to get up again as it burned. It should be noted that the use of a .455 Webley pistol suggests it may have been a British intelligence agent, so even the real version is pretty cool. Even with the legend having been debunked, it remains much more popular than the truth, because the true story of Rasputin's death is boring, whereas the fake story is much cooler. His death is also disputed, as without Rasputin, who would be Alan Moore? You know, the writer.
Yeah.
Finally, the myth of Rasputin's death fulfills all 5 of the possible reasons listed above. Let's see. There's no real life section for it. It's urban legends. An urban legend about a man in France who attempted suicide by simultaneously hanging, poisoning, shooting and burning himself, all on top of a steep cliff above the sea. The attempt failed when he shot himself in the head while jumping off, and the shot missed his head and instead ripped through the rope, causing him to fall into the sea and survive, which not only put out the fire, but also made him spit out the poison he'd swallowed earlier. He was then rescued by a fisherman, but then died of hypothermia. Snopes tracked the first version of the tale to forensic literature of the very late 19th century. Interestingly, in the first versions, the man actually survives. Commonly used in criminal law examinations so that law students can pass the various rules regarding murder versus accidental death. Usually includes a question regarding whether it is possible to be charged with murder for killing someone who is already dead. The answer to which is no, but you can be charged with attempted murder in such a situation. But that comes under urban legends. There's no real life section.
That's a shame.
Because obvious reasons.
Yeah.
It's why they got rid of the real life examples of everything trying to kill you, which had its own separate entry just for Australia.
I was going to say, is that just Australia?
There was like everything trying to kill you. Real life. Australia, real life. Because there was just that much in Australia trying to kill you.
I do like the joke of Australians convincing foreigners that drop bears are real.
You went over this last time.
I still think it's funny though.
I suppose. In the back. Hey! This isn't where we need to go. We need to go that way.
I like how his eyes glow.
Who's Nick?
Yeah.
He's a simp.
This is Radio Freedom, voice of the Minutemen. It's just past 10 p.m.
In the back.
All's quiet across the Commonwealth. Stay safe out there.
Damn it. He's not quite sure where we are, he just thinks he knows where we are. Got him.
Firing blindly in the general direction.
Basically. Oops. He broke. Boom. Ah. I'm insulted. Get a pipe revolver pistol. I mean, okay, it's more 45 rounds, but...
You know what I do in this situation?
You just put them in the bucket.
Well, yeah. Well, Iowa's not about that life, so...
No, not this particular version.
I mean, sure, there is a version of Iowa out there that would be interested, but...
That is not freedoms.
This is Radio Freedom, broadcasting all day, all across the Commonwealth. Nothing
Basically.
to report. Stay safe, people.
There's 2 guys left.
For now.
Oh, there's a guy in a turret. Is he trying to knife us?
Really? A switchblade?
I'm insulted now. I really am.
Screw the bucket, get the jam jar.
Don't you mean the soup can?
Yeah, that works.
I mean, I don't even think there's enough left for the soup can.
Just like opens the cover, there's like a bunch of soup cans with just the word radio written on them.
Okay, whatever it is was chain detonationed. It was funny, but not quite what we were looking for. There is, however, some loot in the cave.
Yep.
Oh, it's the turret. That's the only thing left. Aside from us, the only thing left alive here is the turret. Oh hey, just looted 3 mini nukes out the footlocker.
Nothing to report at the moment. Stay tuned for updates.
Just sitting there.
Yes. In the hands of raiders.
You're tuned to Radio Radio
just
Freedom.
because. But they do stone to realise that they've
Quiet.
stolen.
For Minutemen orders.
They're smart enough. Well, they were smart enough to set up a turret.
Yet not smart enough to realise, oh, there's a mini nukes here, I could do something with these.
Let's rig up a rudimentary explosive trigger to them and use them as mines.
Screw that, I'm taking a switchblade.
Got it.
Oh, hey, 16 50 cal rounds.
Look at this clearly experienced person with a highly powerful weapon, a suit of living power armor and a synth with them. Should we take the mini nukes? No, I'm just gonna stab her.
Yes, because that worked out so well, didn't it?
Yeah.
Debris.
Oh, I thought it was something. No, it's just because there's looking
It's debris that we've blown off.
I don't think
And it's just stuck there, twitching.
I don't think you can show that on YouTube. Blowing things off.
What am I going to do with you?
As ever, take me out back and shoot me.
This is Radio Freedom.
Tempting. I mean, I just need a copy of the Necronomicon so I can raise you from the dead afterwards.
Like an undead ghost.
Yes. Your point? I'll have to chain you to the chair so you don't try and eat my brains.
So if I'm dead, have I still got to sleep?
Probably not.
Excellent, get it out.
However, it does therefore mean you don't get the excuse of tired for missing work.
What about the excuse of busy eating people's brains?
Nope.
Damn.
They'll put you to work basically like 24/7.
Well, it reminds me of a My Hero Academia like bank work someone made. No sleep. It's Shinzo's dad actually. Just the idea, just you'd never have to sleep. As a result, he's a doctor because he can work because he obviously doesn't have sleep. He spent his teenage years just studying near constantly, and therefore is a very highly skilled surgeon.
Makes sense, I suppose. This is an area that's got some scavvers in. Or trappers.
5 minutes later. This is an area that has some trappers in.
Pretty much.
No,
There's actually an issue of the Wasteland Almanac in here.
Radio Freedom.
Which is the area's equivalency of the scab and whatnot. It took me ages to find it.
Security operation successful. Resuming normal operation.
Yes, they are just strolling through, murdering everything in the way.
They're really not very creative with their decorations, hanging up their bodies.
Yeah, you've got the standard raider decorations.
Nothing needs to be said many times. If you're going to hang someone's corpse up,
Yeah, at least be tasteful about it.
Chain them to a post, stab them in the gut, pull their intestine out, and hang them with it.
Analysis. Green. Neutralization operation complete.
Get the dustpan. Yeah, at least he had a decent gun this time.
Yeah.
Still didn't save him.
Scoops him up, pours him into a tin can.
Look, mouldy food. No wonder these guys are nuts.
Yeah, so long as you're carrying it.
Come here, Nick.
You're gonna make you carry it just for that.
Nah, I'm not that mean. He's not Preston.
Preston, you would just have to carry all the stuff.
Yep. I'd even remove his. But we'd have to mod a way to remove his weight cap limit as well.
Just have him as like an infinite capacity pack mule.
Yes. Because Preston. Do I need a better reason?
No. Oh, that'd be good.
Either his corpse is up there, or bits of him have rained down somewhere.
Then you can get the pacify ability in this.
Yeah. Or
And
the
you've got-
intimidate perk.
Yeah, and you've got the what was it? The import 3 you did. You got sort of the thing that like memorize, like stun people on the slave boards.
Mesmerizer.
That's the one. Some sort of combination of that, so you can like trap people, imprison them, and then a guillotine.
This is why I shouldn't let you design things, isn't it?
Your tune to Radio Freedom, voice of
If
the
I have,
Minuteman.
if I just was let
Nothing
let
to
loose
report
on
at the
my
moment.
own,
Stay
with,
tuned
like,
for updates.
some sort of creation kit or modding resource or whatever.
I'd have to drag you away before the police did, wouldn't I?
I might create some sort of shrine on the level of an eldritch abomination, but you know.
Look at what it was carrying. Bladed tire iron. It's just insulting.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, he wasn't using it on me, but still.
Standard.
I like my minions / companions to be attacked with weapons of worth.
Yeah.
I mean, even a machete is still low class.
Mhm.
Well, at least by this point in the game.
Yeah. It's like a waterfall or something.
Yeah. It's probably safe to drink.
I thought it was just
Probably.
appearing out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Probably safe to drink until you just explode someone and their head falls in.
Indeed.
You're just supposed to make noises and walk into them to alert people, but cutting them down is
Indeed. And destroying the turret apparently doesn't make any noise either.
I just had a worse idea. That bounce
Wait.
that worked.
Wait.
Where are the grenades? Or other such explosive device. Hey. Pretty sensible.
It's useful though.
Yeah.
And it recovers us a grenade we used earlier.
Excellent. I was thinking, it's probably safe to drink until someone's head falls in. Put a bunch of heads in, put a fire underneath. Soup. I feel like I'm deliberately trying to think of the most ridiculous things now.
Ridiculous and or horrifying.
Oh yeah. But what else am I good for? Other than bad puns, obviously.
We had good banter in the early episodes, man. Let's get back to that. You know, when we're having fun, coming up with quips and everything. You know, the fun stuff.
All's quiet across the Commonwealth.
Not this gritty murder show stuff.
I'm not that bad. Yet.
You're the one who started the whole thing about the bucket.
I just sort of had an idea and I sort of let it go.
In a very, very horrifying direction. Okay, so it turns out it wasn't here. It was another location. It was probably the quarry then. This isn't the quarry. Do you see any mining going on here?
Nope. Apart from when you're running around taking all the loot. Mine.
That isn't mining. That's just
2
loot.
a.m. here at Radio Freedom.
Or rather, forceful repossession.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing to report at the moment. Stay tuned for updates. You're tuned to Radio Freedom. Nothing to report. Stay safe, people.
That's the ship we need to go to, so we need to continue heading south to this lighthouse.
Mm-hmm.
It will take us past the Vim Pop Factory.
Are they the ones that make those? Are they the ones that make those little figurines?
Tish. Finally getting back towards the banter.
Yeah.
Finally.
Mm-hmm. After all the horror.
Yes.
I don't know where I get this from.
I'd rather you didn't.
I just don't know where it comes from. dark corner of my mind.
Oh yeah, we have the night vision scope on this one.
Oh yeah, that's the one that
The
like
splatter cannon.
can like more damage per hit. Building.
More consecutive hits.
That's the word, consecutive.
Green water. Don't drink this. Just it says that.
Swims in it.
Yep. Don't drink this, folks.
What was it called? There's a mini nuke launcher mod you can get that launches a bunch
No
of
accounting for taste.
MIRV. M-I-R-V.
This is
yeah,
Radio Freedom,
when you
broadcasting all day, all across the
Commonwealth.
Commonwealth. Nothing to report.
I'd rather you wouldn't, because that would one of them will generally hit the ceiling above you and kill you.
Well, like inside a building. I mean, like against a building on a. Was it MIRV against?
You mean like one of these buildings rather than an actual enterable building?
Yeah. I was just gonna say, you know what quote I'd be going for at the time, wouldn't you?
What?
Oh, sorry, I can't hear you over the sound of melting city.
Carl!
I want to see that. Oh yeah, the anchor there a minute ago.
Yep.
That was a good mod.
Yes. Yes, it was.
At some point, we're going to do a modded playthrough, right?
Yep.
Oh, the anchor's making a comeback.
Definitely.
We stuck.
Yes.
How do we remedy this? Oh, fast travel. Forgot that was a thing for a minute.
Mostly because we hadn't located gone to the location before, so we couldn't just fast travel there.
Were those like ridiculously powerful weapons from the mods? Like
the heavy weapons set.
Yeah, that was good.
Like the Hellfire cannon, just raining the missile rain.
End of atom.
Just all of the horribly OP weapons. It's like we could have just destroyed that entire camp from the ridge, just going, yeah, beep. You know what they say about the pen being mightier than the sword?
Mm-hmm.
Especially when it's the pen of an angry god.
Pick her up.
Pick her up. Ain't no load she can't haul. The pickup truck.
There's a sex pun in there if you want to go for it.
Nah. That's low, even by my standards.
What, by mine?
It will be low by the standards I am trying to set.
Yeah, true.
Yes, you read that right.
Rat chicken. Yes. Is that an irradiated chicken or a chicken that's particularly cool?
Yes.
It's just got sunglasses on.
This is Radio Freedom.
And when you stand near it, it gives you 400,000 rads per second.
Yeah.
Out there, everyone.
I just have like the high bar and get the Olympics high jumps. One of those labelled your expectation. Just me at the bottom, just thinking, nah, just plopped onto the map behind it.
Because you really love subverting expectations, don't you?
Once again, wish I could soar. Like, runs up to it with a pole, just like all intentions of jumping, at the last second, just tosses the pole aside, just flops backwards.
Dang it.
Come on.
You can't hide.
Really? Can't hide?
Clearly I can. Damn it! Nearly got it over.
Oh, they've got their own explosives.
No, blew up a car.
Ah. I was thinking they might have nukes for a second there. Oh,
Got him.
he broke.
In the arm. He's up there.
range.
Nothing new to report. Keep it tuned here.
No, I need a
Minutemen
grenade
alerts.
launcher.
Oh, definitely. You got what they're called, they're like 5 barrels.
It's a cylinder, like a revolver, not an actual 5-barrel grenade launcher.
Oh, yeah.
But I know which one you mean. It's the Milcor MGL.
I know you don't use it.
I don't know the specific model number, but it's made by Milcor.
As you said before, you seem to know at least a little bit about most things.
He got to see. He saw my face. He had to die.
Yeah.
I'm leaving a message for those who would defy freedoms. He shot me!
People break and sweat. Not that it's an option.
Disintegrating.
Your point?
My point is, it's hilarious. Does that one have a crab bar on its head?
Yes. That's what a trapper helmet looks like. A lobster trap helmet.
Stay tuned for updates.
I did mention this before.
It's rare that any enemies in this game are what you would call safe. Still.
Okay, granted it limits your field of view, but provides adequate head protection against hostile wildlife.
Wildlife, yeah.
And bearing in mind, these guys have been driven mad by the fog.
True.
So they at least have a reasonable excuse for all this.
Because I've been driven insane by radioactive fog. What's your excuse?
Literally.
Doesn't do much against Iowa.
No. Then again, what armor does?
It's 5 a.m.
Yeah.
This is Radio Freedom, voice of the Minutemen.
Iowa wants you dead.
All quiet.
You're gonna be dead.
Just how we like it.
When Io wants you dead, Io gets you dead.
Gundam Breaker 3, based on DLC. Can you get the Psycho Gun?
Thunderbolt version, yes.
Or on its head?
That's actually what gives you one of the I think it's either one of the burst actions or one of the EX actions.
Cool. I like
The big gun. The backpack, however, doesn't. He didn't even get a chance to drop. Oh my god. This one had a combat knife. Messages, people, we need to send them.
Up your game or you're gonna get disintegrated. I mean, you'll be disintegrated regardless, but at least you won't be disrespected.
Pretty much. It's making a mockery of freedom.
Radio Freedom, voice of the Minutemen.
And when somebody mocks freedom, that makes Iowa mad. What happens when Iowa gets mad?
Everything in the vicinity tends to die.
Everything in the vicinity that hates freedom. And obviously my comrades don't get horribly murdered because they are my comrades.
And they too are interested in bringing freedom to them.
And they are generally armed with good equipment by Iowa.
Yeah. Because Iowa has standards.
Yeah, I mean, okay, Nick is running around with a 10mm, but it's a 10mm that irradiates things and has better damage than any other 10mm in the game. Okay, he had a decent gun. We don't need to make an example of him.
He gets to keep his limbs.
More the fact we don't need to make an example of him.
Yeah.
He's probably lost a limb from the bullet, but we don't. But like I said, we don't need to make an example of him.
That reminds me of a I'll see if I can find it. That just makes me, whenever I see it, I just think of Iron.
Speak to ya.
Good morning, Commonwealth. This is Radio Freedom, the voice of the Minutemen. Stay safe out there.
He actually had Marine Recon arms. It's not going to be the legendary ones, but he had them. You know what that means? He had good armor on his arms. You know what that means?
Yeah.
What does it mean?
I know it's supposed to be funny, but...
No, he had good armor on his arms.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
I know there's something in there, like...
Oh, wait, no. He was using the full coastal armor, which looks like they use, but you can't separate them. I was going to say, it means we loot.
I thought you guys were disarmed one.
No, I shot him in the face.
Oh. Yeah, here's the thing.
That's alright, it's just your legs fell off.
Prosthetic leg, of course. Don't worry, folks.
Yeah, we're not looking at that kind of thing. I just imagine that's what Iowa says when you blow someone's leg off.
Walk it off, you pansy.
Yeah. Well, pop it off.
No, walk it off. Even though he's only got one leg, he's got to walk it off.
Because Iowa says so.
Yes. He's a raider. He deserves no sympathy. He has to walk it off, not hop. He literally has to walk with one leg.
All quiet across the Commonwealth.
Falling over.
Stay safe out there.
Yes. Yes. He's a raider. He's the enemy of freedom.
Somehow hobbling, dragging yourselves away out of fear.
Basically. I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there's a weapon workbench around here. Hey.
You're tuned to Radio Freedom. All quiet.
I need that sneeze as well. Yeah, it gets stuck there, and it's like niggling, and you're like,
There's nothing you can do to cause it, is there?
No, you just have to wait for it to actually happen.
Some of the stupid facial expressions trying to get it to...
Usually for me, it just means scrunching my nose a lot.
Yeah.
We will need to come back here later anyway, because we need to invest. You see that bit there? We need to.
Fire.
Yes, which we didn't cause. Leads to a wrecked boat. We need to investigate that later. There's the Vim Pop Factory.
How long ago was the boat supposed to have been wrecked?
Not that long.
Obviously, it's still on fire.
Yeah. The thing is, even if you never accept the quest, that will still be there. And then even if you let years pass in game, then accept the quest, it'll still treat it as though it's not long just happened.
You can't even say that there's exactly general video games.
Basically.
You put out of the ocean is just that polluted that it just keeps burning forever.
That would be the joke, but the literal would be the fact that it's actually supposed to be the oil slick on top.
This is Radio Freedom, the voice
Quest
of
up there as well.
It's 7 a.m.
Quest destination up there as well.
Nothing to report at the moment. Stay tuned for updates.
Wait, there's oil in there.
I said quest destination.
Okay. Oil slick. Don't tell the Brotherhood, they might invade.
Yeah, but there's no tech, so the Brotherhood wouldn't be interested.
I'll just say American. I do like that one. Yeah, Gordon Ramsay. There's so much oil on this, Americans can invade the place.
Please tell me you actually enjoyed that commentary. I'd linked you to.
Oh yeah.
Oh, the comment had sent.
What,
Yeah.
the idiot sound?
Yeah, on that video.
All across the Commonwealth.
Good mod, bad weapon.
Nothing to report. Keep it tuned here for updates.
And already exploded in his head.
I do just love Gordon Ramsay.
What are you? An idiot sandwich! What are you? An idiot sandwich, Benny Enma! The thing is, mythology-wise, she's actually the sparrow from the Legend of the Split-Tongued Sparrow. So she's actually from Japan.
Okay.
And because she's actually a sparrow, she hates Sasaki Kojiro. So true assassin, she hates him. You know, he's Tsubame sorry, not true assassin, fake assassin. He's Tsubame Geishi, Noble Phantasm. Yeah, the one he created to take down a flying sparrow on the wing.
Yeah. I can imagine this intention.
She does not like him very much. Bearing in mind, he's an assassin, she's a sailor. So, neutral versus neutral.
Yeah.
So, there's no benefit or downside to it. Oh yeah, this is a rad storm on Bar Harbour. Makes the fog all glowing. Oh, by the way, if you want us to join, if you want to get the Atom's Judgment weapon and one of the missing pieces of the armor that we're after, we do have to join effectively the Children of Atom. We also get access to the kiloton radium rifle, which, you know, the spray and pray submachine gun. It's that, only as a radium rifle. Yeah? There's the guy who wants to start a cult. An insane cult. Bear in mind, there's nothing that says we have to actively do anything to help them beyond one particular objective.
Is there anything saying we can't, after we've got the things we want, that we can't genocide them?
Yes, because that stops us getting the good ending. Besides, if we get the good ending, very good things happen.
Nothing to report.
Not very much of a butcher, is he? He got butchered. So basically, we bring peace to Far Harbour between the Children of Atom, the residents of the harbour, and the synths at Arcadia. Otherwise, we only bring peace to two of the factions, or we kill everybody and only I win, and that ends up being sad.
When it comes to when I eventually get here, Bethesda?
Yep. It's one of the
Not
standard.
just that one.
It's just one of the standard appearance glitches.
I was gonna say, when I end up getting here, you know which one I'm gonna take, don't you?
Kill every motherfucker with a pulse. Electronic or otherwise.
Yeah. Well, as I've only just started, because I keep meaning to play it, but I keep meaning to play Fallout 4. Turn on the PS4, on Gundam Bricks, so the disc's still in. I'll play a bit of that. Like, just get in.
Aside from
play a mission or two.
Yeah, aside from this, I play whatever I'm in the mood for. For example, for the last couple of weeks, I've done a couple of hours. I've done like an hour or two on.
This is Radio Freedom.
On Monster Hunter,
Stay safe
and then
out there,
I've
everyone.
spent like 6 hours on Assassin's Creed.
I'm gonna go in town tomorrow.
I'm listening.
Okay.
See if I can get. Obviously, go and see CX, have a look at the Blu-rays and PS4 games and whatnot. I'm also gonna have a look. You know the.
Ooh, the legendary trapper.
You know where the new it's either Audi or Lidl. You know where the new one is and the old one used to be. Word is not. There's like they've got like fast shops next to each other. Halfords and.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's Lidl.
Like a DIY shop there.
Playing hide and seek.
Probably Screwfix.
I'll get it. I want to get some insulated high-vis coats because it's bloody cold. And obviously you've got to wear high-vis because health and safety, so I want to get one of those.
He at least had a decent melee weapon.
Yes. Pretty good. He gets to keep his limbs.
Aside from the one we blew off killing him.
Only the one. Still get 3 others. Which one was it?
What?
Which limb was it you blew off?
Probably the arm.
Threat
If I
analysis.
could do a Scottish accent,
He's still got his limbs.
yeah. I can only do one accent, and that is incredibly racist, stereotypical Indian. I have no
Yeah,
idea. I'm not going. I'm not.
I was gonna say yeah. Let's not go into that.
I don't want this video to get flagged or heavily disliked.
You know, we get very few likes on the videos anyway.
Yeah, that's expected, isn't it?
Yeah.
We've yet to achieve our true greatness.
We've yet to actually reach our full audience. The thing is, though, you know, if we make it to 1,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel, we can actually get monetized.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is that the cap in the maybe?
Well, minimum.
That's the word, minimum.
Minimum of 1,000 subscribers, you can actually start getting paid for content. It's very little per watcher.
Yeah.
But it's pennies per watcher, pretty much. But it's like 1,000 watchers, even if it's like 5 pence per person. If all those subscribers all watch that same video, so let's say it's 5 pence per viewer. What is 1,000 times 5 pence? If 10 is 50p, if 100 is £5, 50 quid.
That's not bad, that. It's not bad for doing something you enjoy anyway.
Yeah.
Oh,
In the head.
yeah. See, you can definitely tell it's raiders.
Someone's coming.
Trappers and raiders.
You survive.
They've got no sense of style when it comes to decorations.
Okay, that is actually fairly cool, hanging him off of an excavator. It's a good use of what you've got, but it's still pretty tasteless.
Yeah.
Anyone you walk away from.
I don't think they're walking away from this, Nick.
Yeah, somehow I doubt it.
Bollocks. No, he's under there. That one.
Another quarry?
Yeah, this one's the actual quarry. Bear in mind, there are mirelocs down here.
As long as it's not full of death claws.
This isn't Quarry Junction.
I was just fuck that place.
Nothing new to report.
This is where it turns out I lied. It's all death claws!
I still remember my first time going into Quarry Junction.
Very fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think I had like a varmint rifle and a 9mm, as you'd expect. Just walking along, going past slow,
and bear in mind, there are signs there that say, warning, death claws.
It was my first experience of any claws I had no idea what they were. Talk to death claws, talk to, what's his name?
That's one way to get the coolant pumping.
Lewis, that was it. Just like, warning about death claws. They sound interesting, wonder what they are. Walk into Quarry Junction. I go to like, there's like that one outside of my excavator. Like,
yeah.
Scoping on it, like, oh, what's this? Shoot it. There's absolutely bugger all that comes at me.
And
Faster than I can run.
rips you in half, beats you to death with your own severed legs.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that is par for the course. It's a fucking death claw.
Yeah.
It's the only thing in the game where they've put warning signs.
I wish I'd been recording my reaction at the time.
When the game actually gives you warning signs and says, do not fuck with these, for like another 15-20 levels, you're supposed to listen.
Yeah. I remember another time I tried to get to food service as fast as I possibly could, so something I wanted.
Yeah.
So
And you ran through a location full of death claws.
No, I ran through a monument they had near Good Springs in the cemetery.
Yeah, the Yahtzee Memorial.
You go past there's like a drop off of a cliff.
You jumped off the cliff.
I went down there, full of giant rad scorpions.
Yeah. They are also a, I wouldn't really say that they're a beefgate in the same way that most things in the game are, but...
Still, if you're at level 2, they're not as bad.
Well, they are supposed to be a bit of a gate. You're not supposed to be able to beat them very easily without a very large cost of ammo and resources.
And what I usually use
Yeah.
so it's just like, it's not 5 or 6 of them roaming around in various sections.
Because why the fuck not?
Which is good until it accidentally gets, it's like default hostile.
Yeah, of course.
Which is good until it accidentally gets too close and one of the villagers shoots at it.
Huh. The gazelle actually gives you less health than the radstag.
So I come back to it for whatever reason.
That usually happens.
Yeah. Easy Peach just splatting. Smiles his
Poor doggo.
They're just this angry, behemoth with like a few cracks in his health bar.
Hop to it. Ah! Didn't mean to drop into that. The fried lobster at that. You're not supposed to you're not supposed to fry them. You're supposed to grill them. Oh look.
I've never actually tried crab or lobster.
Nor have I.
I'm interested in trying it.
You know, you can go crab fishing quite easily.
Yeah, I've done it sometimes.
Yeah. One of the best places I've found when I was growing up is Harbour in Wales. Really good place. It's got a I'd say 2-layer harbour. So you have the inner harbour where most boats are semi-permanently moored. And then there's the outer harbour where most of the fishermen moor.
Nothing to report. Stay safe out there.
It's less of a permanent mooring. And you go there and you I don't know, I haven't been in donkey's years. I haven't been in nearly 20 years. Since my nanny Nancy died, because my granddad Les, he used to have a caravan in Lannan, which is just a couple of miles away. So during school holidays, except in winter when the campground was closed, we'd go there. And like Easter holidays, summer holidays. Summer I'd be there like for like a week or two with my grandparents, and then a week or two with my parents and my sister. We'd go there. We'd go to Lannan. There's like a fishmonger. I would say fishmonger, but it's a van one rather than a outright store.
Yep.
So you know, like the fish and chip van, like that. Only the bit is lower down. It'd usually have bits of mackerel. So we'd buy some mackerel bits. We'd have our obviously we'd have our
I got the guns if you got the cat.
our crab fishing reels. You know what they look like.
Don't try anything.
We'd have them. We'd go to the outer harbour, and we'd literally just throw. We'd hook a bit of. We'd hook the.
All quiet, which is how we like it. Stay safe out.
We'd hook a bit of mackerel on as our bait. Just toss it over, and we'd wait until we got a bite. We'd always do catch and release, so we'd always throw it back, but still. We used to spend an hour or two just fishing up crab. Because we could.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to, why not?
Now I'm thinking about all this, I'm getting really nostalgic for places around Devon I went as a kid.
Hmm.
When I get my driver's license and get a car, I'm going on a trip.
You're not going without me. You're taking me.
Okay, that can easily be arranged.
And we are going to spend some time going to Wales as well.
Oh, definitely. I want to go to Wales. I've been once. Can't remember exactly where it was. Some sort of village.
Hmm.
It was on like the coastal bit.
Yeah.
We went.
Do you remember what the nearest big town was?
I don't think. I'm sure I could easily find out what it was called.
Because 11 miles to the north of Lannan is Aberystwyth, which is fairly big.
I think it was called like Tenby or something.
Thing you need?
Hey,
not near,
Alan.
Here for
not
trade?
near Lannan, then.
I'll take a look.
You got it.
Cool.
Yeah, yeah, it's called Tenby apparently.
Hmm.
In southwest Wales.
Hang on. While we're on there, I'm just going to go to Google Maps for this.
See, we made a slight mistake going there because we went camping for a week.
Hmm.
It rained every single day.
Well, British weather. What do you expect?
Yeah.
That's kind of your own fault.
A lot of people just gave up after a couple of days.
Well, as you'd expect.
Yeah.
This is Radio Freedom.
I mean, the tent was like nearly ruined. We haven't used it since. This is like maybe, God, like maybe 10 years ago. Still sitting in my nan's garage.
Yeah. Slightly more. Still want to turn a profit. How much he sells these for? We will exactly clean him out. But we do have 463 rounds of 4070. Okay. The original thing, the location, let's say he was down here, yeah, Boreham Wood. Then it went up to still outside of Birmingham. It was between, it was around Willenhall, basically the other. Oh no, there's Wednesbury. There. Between Wolverhampton and West Bromwich. But that's not why I've opened Google Maps. Right. There. Right there. Aberdeen.
Cool.
We used to go, we'd come in up this way, and we'd come into Aberystwyth, and we'd go along, and we'd go to Lannan, which is here. Lovely little place this was. There'd be a butcher there. We'd pop in on our way in, and we'd tell him, well, we'd pick up some meat, because it was usually on a Friday or a Saturday, so we'd have the meat for the Sunday, but we'd place an order to pick up for when we left, which was like big load of lamb. It's Wales, you know the sheep for days.
Yeah.
And you know the joke.
Avoid the stereotypes. You don't want assuming any Welsh people watch this, sorry about that. We're not going to mention it.
Yeah, because there's the campsite there. You come out there, you go down here, you turn in here. My granddad's caravan.
Yeah.
Because that was the touring one. These were the fixed ones, and that was the mobile homes. My granddad's one was about there, about halfway along on that side. Then, most nights we'd walk down here to the beach, but this wasn't like a sandy beach. So that's all stones and whatnot.
Ah, that kind of beach.
Yeah, and there'd actually be, it's covered over by that bit there, but there's a slip road there. I used to walk along that, but it was always so covered in seaweed. Near enough every time we went, it was almost a guarantee I would slip on it and fall in the water.
So literally a slip road.
Yes, but that is kind of neither here nor there. It was almost a guarantee that any time I went on it, I would slip and fall in the water. But yeah, that's there. But to go to Aberystwyth, it's literally, you could walk there down the coastline if you wanted. Only a couple of miles. Well, I say only.
Yeah. Broke my finger on a beach like that once.
But you go from there, you go past Aberystwyth. It is. Let's get the tape measure for the scale. Right. It's about 2 centimeters there for an inch. If you go from the from Lannan Beach, it's 5 kilometers roughly, 5,000 meters. It's cut about 3 miles. Well, 2.5 ish, 2 3/4 miles. 5 miles is 8 kilometers.
Okay.
I'd say it'd be about 2 1/4 then. About 2 1/4 miles. So a bit of a walk. It's a lovely little town. You can see the harbour here, right? That's the inner harbour there. You've got a bridge that goes over the estuary as well, because the harbour is fed not only by the sea but this river stream here. Well, the Afan Aran, which is where the Aran parts. So I suppose Aberystwyth would be something like by the river. Well, by the River Aran or something like that. I don't speak Welsh.
Yeah, that's funny. It took me like years to realise what Exmouth in Devon is called what it is. Literally, like, it's by the River Ex, so...
Exmouth.
Yeah.
The mouth of the River Ex.
It took me until I was 20 to realise that. I've been going there since I was about 6.
Anyway, the fishmonger would usually be around about this corner here.
Okay.
So you go there, you walk down here. That actually used to be a museum there. There's some good ice cream on the corner store as well there. But we'd walk generally along the quayside to about here. This was a good spot there. But sometimes we'd go over here. Occasionally we'd fish on Pylon Part there. I've never fished along that side though. That's because that's the yacht club. It's a private side there. But you actually got a little bit of proper beach here, proper sandy beach. Stretches back across to here. You got your break wall there, and you got the big tidal break wall. You know, the slatted fence thing there. Got one of them there as well. You got a little watchtower. You can go up there. And when we weren't in Aberystwyth, we wanted a day out, and we didn't go to Aberystwyth either. We usually did our big shopping in Aberystwyth as well. There was a Sainsbury's there and everything. We'd go further down the road to Newquay, which isn't Newquay, Cornwall, obviously.
I was going to say that's one interesting definition of just down the road.
It's about another. Well, you still have to go down an A road, and you go that. Then you go to Lanarth and through Lanarth. But they had an RNLI station there. And I used to love going there. You can see it there. That's the. You could actually go in and look round the boat, and you had the slip road there for it as well.
There's this really interesting lifeboat station on the Isle of Wight that I saw once. See if I can get a picture of it.
I mean, it was always nice to go on the beach there. It's in Cardigan Bay as well. It's on the edge of Cardigan Bay. I'll bring it back up to Aberystwyth. There's actually a milestone in Lannan that points towards Aberystwyth and says 11 miles, which is why I know it's the rough distance. It's about 2 miles-ish, 2.5 miles to Aberavon from Lannan. Well, to the campground. And the campground is about a mile away from the milestone in the village centre. So it's about 12 miles to Aberystwyth, but there's some really good stuff in Aberystwyth. My DM's brother goes to uni in Aberystwyth. So there's the remains of a castle here. Some good fish and chip stuff. Oh, it's a Tesco's now. It used to be a Sainsbury's. We'd leave, we'd go that way. It used to be there. Oh, it's a Morrison's now. Yeah, there's you got Town Football Club. Ruined Castle up here. I used to love going around that.
Yeah, like castles are always good.
Yeah, I used to love going around it. Oh, there's a war memorial as well. But there's a fish and chip shop somewhere near here as well. Used to be. Not the first time I ever had chips and gravy. Proper chip shop gravy and everything. So you know the really good stuff. Along the other the Stone Beach there used to be some along. It was along one of the roads that led directly to the waterfront. There used to be a little specialty like herbal shop, well, magicy, witchcrafty shop. I used to always get a pound's worth, as in money, so a quid's worth of glass and or stone beads. And when we used to have a mantelpiece, we used to put them on there. But then when my ex-stepmom Bev had my dad remodel the living room, and she wanted to get rid of the half and mantelpiece and gas fire and whatnot, and move the sofas from this side to where they are now. She didn't even ask whose those beads were, and just got rid of them. I'd spent several years, collecting these. It was only like 8 or 9 per go, but I had close to 100 beads. I never did anything with them because they were just on the mantelpiece for decoration. She never bothered to ask whose they were. She never asked if they belonged to anyone. Never asked if they wanted to be kept. Just got rid of them. Then again, she would have gotten rid of them on principle because they were mine. But also, we never really went up here. But there's a cable car that goes up to the top of the cliff here. Just straight up. Some good views from up there, apparently. So one of the sites we can usually, further up there, you can usually tell that you're getting close to Aberystwyth is because there's a wind farm in that general direction. Well, there's two. There's one up on the hills, but there's also one out to sea. But also from a distance, as you're coming in from over there, you can usually see that there in the distance. Move around on here. Okay, not quite where I wanted to go. The castle is over there. Don't worry, folks, we will be getting back to streaming in a minute. I just got distracted by plans for stuff. You can see the cable car there. It runs from waterfront. So now the castle's there. And that's something else up there. it goes up to this station up there. Really nice. Really.
It's so weird. For some reason, I swear I've seen these pictures before.
Oh, I get that a lot. I get bouts of deja vu all the time. I wouldn't say all the time, but
I get them in the weirdest locations, like the weirdest, like, because like I feel like I've been in exactly this situation before, even though I'm almost certain I haven't. So weird.
I can give you a better example. I was in year 4 of primary school, right? I once saw my year 8 science exam, right down to the date of the exam, like my candidate number and everything. Yeah, the old peer. I saw my year 8 science exam. I'm not when I was in year 4. I'm not actually psychic. It just happened.
Okay.
And when I actually saw the exam, I was like, holy shit. Well, I didn't actually say that, but, you know.
You didn't happen to psychic guess any of the answers, did you?
Nah.
That's a shame. That's just mad. It's not like mad, like mad as in unbelievably cool.
Yeah. There's not a lot of the old castle, but you got bits of tower and whatnot. It's actually signposted now. Those bits of signpost never used to be there. But you look at that. Some good ruins for like 12th century.
Yeah. Places I've never been, I want to go. Stonehenge.
My friend in Reading works there. Yeah. I say works there, it's like he did an archaeology course and whatnot. So it's what he does. So it's as close to working there as you can outright get.
I've never been to London either.
I've been through there. You're not missing much. But I say been through there. I went there on a the first convention I went to was MCM London, and I only got to go because a former friend of mine went with me, and they only went with me because I said I'd pay all the bloody travel costs. Down there's the village of Lannan. Wait, no, that's not Lannan. There's Lannan. There's the campgrounds over there. Unfortunately, I can't get any closer. There's some actual cliff top trails to go from the beach into Lannan as well. Doing these street views is a lot harder than it used to be.
Yeah.
Right, this is from the inner harbour. Obviously, you got the river there. It's the bridge over. Slip road. And so the fishmonger was usually over there. There's a fish and chip shop over there. Lovely little harbour, isn't it? Okay, this should be. Yep. See what I mean about the tidal wall there?
Yeah.
Oh, the tide breaking wall. Because that's where the harbour comes out. You can just see the little watchtower there. Yeah, this will put us on. It's on the yacht club side. Bit of vision distortion there. See if it fixes it. Yeah, this is another one. This is low tide, and there you can see how low it gets. Low tide is the best time to do to go for the fishing.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's nice.
Cool. We're actually on the end of it now.
Okay.
'Cause basically, you feed it all the way down there. You can get down to the beach that way. You can overlook the beach there. You can see the little watchtower there. Just lets you look over the thing. But basically, along the quayside, which is the level below here, is one of the best places to do the fishing. You got the access bits there. Yeah, you can sort of see where he is. That fence post. So it's one of the best places to go crab fishing. I loved it. Okay, we've waffled on about plans for long enough.
Yeah. So once I get, well, I'm incredibly good at procrastinating everything, but I am definitely do need to get a driver's license. Because, well, not only for that, but also for like general stuff. Like,
Yeah, plus helps going to Amicon and whatnot.
Definitely.
Speaking of which, you got to go onto you have to register on the website soon as that way you can keep on top of any news, and you don't have to spend time registering and then going through the registration process and then trying to get your ticket.
Cool. Send me a link later.
11 p.m. out there.
Amicon.org. No.org.
Nothing
Still
to
have all
report
the
at the moment.
details
Stay
from
tuned for updates.
2018, so... Hang on. Yeah, it's... The site will be down for the moment then. Right. Right. I'll add you to the social. Which should allow you to keep on top of help keep on top of things.
Okay.
Oh wow. I'm pretty sure I got a photo of her as well. On the clear card arc Sakura. Right. And you were top of the suggestion list.
Yeah.
Invite member. I'm also invite my sister because she's on about going as well.
I got the notification.
Should hopefully help you stay on top of things, because when there's like news that goes out, more likely somebody will post it in there, and we'll be able to then go, okay, here's the news, and then deal with it. Usually because it will be along the lines of like any confirmed guests, any speculations, like somebody will probably say something about panels, etc. And then there'll also be registration opens at this time. Level up.
How would you use Jean's weapon though? Because it's a collapsible shield.
You'd have it either collapsed or you'd have it expanded. You wouldn't be able to do both.
It's one of the ones
unless you found a way to spring load it, but even then you're not likely to get it to work that way properly.
It's one of the really weapons that can translate well into real life.
Nothing new to report.
Exactly the same with minus 25 because of the thing when that wears off, but it's the same with, but the only one you'd be able to do, well, a couple you'd be able to do, Myrtanasta, so Weiss's weapon,
and that's just a rapier with a revolver barrel.
Yeah, and you also have the fancy parts on it. Ember Salika, you wouldn't be able to do the collapsing bit, but
the fully activated version would be doable.
Or the collapsed version. Then again, because it's only like a system of slides, you'd have to get a way to lock it properly, but you'd be able to have it in either form. And I suppose Gambol Shroud.
Yeah, I've seen people.
Because it's a big, it's basically just a big scabbard.
Yeah.
So it's doable.
Big scabbard with a foldable sword, basically welded to a gun.
Yeah. Though,
you'd go with a Nerf blade,
Oh yeah.
and you'd find a way to mount it properly. But
Yeah.
it's entirely doable.
I think Crescent Rose before people have done that.
Yeah, though that one you'd have to have one of its forms.
Yeah.
Simply because that thing, it'd be impossible to create normally.
Yeah.
It's midnight here at Radio Freedom. Nothing to report. Stay safe, people.
This is the area. Because it's up there, we've got to try and not explode up there, because it makes it very hard to find.
Yeah. I'm also thinking of doing this armor post. I thought I thought yeah, when it gets to upgrade.
So,
I think it has to be
volume,
Someone's coming.
volume 4, I believe.
Yeah, I know how I'm going to do the I know how I'm going to do the gauntlet
Gauntlet would be the hand. Vanblade.
I know how to do that.
If you can get some dirt bike armor, you'll have a good base. It'll cost a bit because it's actual body armor, but when you get down to it, it gives you all of the shape you need for most of the various pieces of armor.
Stay safe out there.
The only downside to it is the cost. And you'd probably need like EVA foam and warbler to help form the rest of it properly. But all in all, it gives you roughly what you're after. And it's lightweight as well.
Which I imagine walking around all day, if it's too heavy, it's gonna get on. It's gonna be a bit.
Basically. For example, you saw some of the photos, right, that I took and I'd seen. Oh, this is what the issue does: 5% less damage from fireworks.
Stay safe,
But
people.
one of the guys did full Nagante armor. He could only wear it for short bursts. He was boiling hot whilst he was wearing it, and he could hardly see a damn thing because of how vision obscuring it was. So when you're doing things like things like armor, you have to consider the weight of it on your body, how comfortable it is, how hot it might be, things like that.
How hot is it going to be?
I don't know.
Because I'm thinking with John.
It could be boiling hot. It could be cold, wet, and miserable. This is Britain, god damn it.
So I'm thinking with John. I'm going to get his like official hoodie off the website.
That'll cost a little bit.
About $55 US, so about
45
This
quid
is Radio
roughly.
Freedom, the voice of the Minutemen. It's 1
you can't
a.m.
get much better than the official.
Nothing to report. Keep it tuned here for updates.
Sometimes it's actually not a great statement. Now I think about it in depth.
Now you're actually thinking it through.
Yeah, sometimes.
Sometimes it's better, sometimes...
I retract my statement. In this case, it looks fairly damn accurate.
Yeah. Though bearing in mind you have to consider sometimes there'll be deviations because of colour of your monitor, colour of the camera. Well, sometimes the camera doesn't take a quite accurate image, so the colour may be off. You have to take into account size and you have to take into account like the various factors that can result from purchasing online.
Yep.
Because neither of us are particularly skilled at sewing, are we?
I'm not the best.
I have difficulty in... Well, I can thread a needle.
Yeah.
I have difficulty in making a knot at one end, so it doesn't fall off. I have difficulty in making a knot so it's big enough that it doesn't go through the hole that the needle's just made.
Yeah.
So you know, you're not just pulling along, or making holes and pulling along a unsecure thread.
What I usually do is I don't.
And I'm not very good at tying it off when I'm done.
Well, I don't know what the stitch is called, but essentially you like every time you stitch it, you wrap it the thread around, sort of like tying a knot each time. I just do that to start with, so it doesn't come undone, and I just carry on as. Well,
Apparently that Milo ate money. Had some bottle caps.
Interesting. I'm not the best at keeping my lines consistent though.
I can't. And when I'm actually going along, I can't sew in a straight line. And I don't have access to a sewing machine.
I might do. I think my man's got one. Can't remember if it works though.
That's it.
Oh good, grenades. We're now down overall by 1. You know I like to maintain 10 of grenades. Lit cigar.
On top of, what is that, an oil drum?
Yes.
Nope.
I will also point out raiders. Nope. Milo Queen.
Ah, okay. Queen?
Yep.
Oh.
Did you forget those things exist?
I didn't know they'd just be randomly about.
There's only one in this vicinity.
So you've got
the totally not a plasma cutter.
Yeah.
And we're missing with every shot. Because we're hitting the doctor instead.
Get the broom.
Toasty.
I saw a double pointer.
What?
If you took a sword and heated it up like red hot,
yeah.
Could you cut someone's arm off and cauterize it at the same time?
In theory, yes. In practice, no, because you haven't tempered the edge and you've now heated it to the point where the metal is actually flexible.
Yeah.
So you have literally just bent red hot metal around somebody's arm.
Yeah.
All's quiet across the Commonwealth.
They will die in agony, screaming.
So it'd be better to cut their arm off with a regular, with an untampered with sword.
Oh no! You just find a way to wrap a heating coil around the blade.
Oh yeah.
Have the heating coil do the cauterizing, whilst the actual blade does the cutting.
I can't remember what film it was. I think it was just some random horror film. Basically, like, some guy's leg was infected with generic evil virus. So
As you do.
Cut it off with an axe, like a big,
As
like
you
wood,
do.
like a woodcutter's axe. Heat it up a frying pan and cauterize it with that.
That would do it.
You're tuned to Radio Freedom, voice of the Minutemen.
Stealthily explode his face.
Stay safe out there, everyone.
Yeah, my dad's quite fond of horror films, so...
I don't.
I don't like them in the slightest.
I like gothic horror,
Yeah.
but that's because I can disassociate it from actual horror.
Things like Hostel, for example, I can't stand that film.
I cannot stand slasher films.
Stuff that feels like it's put out in the
Yeah.
I can't be dealing with that.
I can't deal with splatter films. I hate splatter because it's just so realistic.
Yeah.
Even when it's over the top and you're like, oh my god, why the fuck?
Same here, yeah. I just don't like them. I don't get the appeal.
Yeah, exactly.
Or like half asleep bricks. It's like, it's not a thing you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's basically what was meant to have the mobile laptops hidden randomly left around. Don't know Wi-Fi, usually. It turns out that they actually belong to a hacker who's playing who's messing with them. So he's killing them through like social engineering and like making them do things without them realising it. All for the entertainment of rich people. It's basically a sport. Given how realistic the hacking was, yeah, when you do this, Not for me.
Yeah. I hate the concept of horror films in general.
Yeah.
Mostly because I hate getting scared.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't see the appeal.
I don't understand it.
Like, why do people enjoy things that scare the shit out of them?
We've evolved for God knows like X amount of like millennia to avoid things that scare us.
And then we just make things that scare us because...
Why would we seek them out intentionally?
Exactly.
I just don't get it.
Welcome to humanity. Leave your common sense at the door.
3 a.m. here at Radio Freedom. Hope
Go
you're
ahead,
listening
burn
from a
it all
safe
and try
place.
again. You done fucked
All's
up.
quiet across the Commonwealth.
Pretty much.
Stay safe out there.
It's just like a comic book at the gates of hell. Just like next time, less horror films.
Clearly, they were the devil's invention.
Oh yeah. I do like that saying, like, the Christian here, I understand it, no matter how many sins you commit, at the more strict ones.
Yeah.
So whether it's 1 or 1 million, you're going down. So you might as well do everything under the sun and show off a legend.
Me and my dad often joke that heaven won't have us, and hell's too scared we'll take over.
I like that.
Though to be fair, with some of with things, if I'm going anywhere, it will probably be hell.
Yeah.
I am not a virtuous person. I try to be a nice person and a relatively good person, but I am not a virtuous person.
Bomb could go
I'm not a
off in
friggin'
this
celibate
place and
priest.
No one would be the wiser.
Well, given what they've been up to, I think
That only applies for Catholics, and that would be in conflict with their vow of celibacy.
Yeah.
You know what celibacy means, right?
Yeah.
They don't get some at all. That's what it's supposed to be.
Speaking of internet culture and celibacy, I was going to briefly mention incels, but I'm scared to. God knows where we'll go from there. I don't understand.
Oh, and of course, the amount of cursing we do and taking the Lord's name in vain, you know.
Oh, yeah.
We are clearly heretics. We are going to burn.
Yeah.
We're going to fry.
No, it doesn't matter about the old religion, it's just the only name you need to worry about taking in vain is the Emperor's.
Oh, yeah. Thou doth not taketh thine God Emperor's name in vain. If you go into the fluff, he basically outlawed religion because he was a man of science. Even though he was literally unkillable to the point where if you killed him, he would just reincarnate slash resurrect down the line. He is a perpetual in that aspect. And it's theorised that he... Scotch.
Nice.
But there's only whiskey.
What a shame. That's all he wanted in life and he couldn't have it.
Basically, as I'm saying, he basically outlawed religion as to limit the hold chaos, well, the chances chaos would have to get a hold on people.
Yeah.
That didn't work. But also, even though it's theorised he was basically Jesus and a lot of other religious figures, and he basically had outlawed religion.
Yeah.
And then, what happened?
Yeah.
Imperial cult. He became a god.
He must. If he was ever able to like
wake up and get out of his soul exploding super coma.
Yeah, he would just hate what had become everything.
You say that, I've actually got something from years and years ago, several editions ago. Absolutely hilarious. It's on my hard drive, on my external somewhere.
when I find it,
Yeah.
it's a text file, so it's a .rtf. You'll have to be on your computer.
Okay.
I'll send it you. You'll laugh. I'm pretty sure you'll laugh. I laughed my ass off.
Yeah.
Metaphorically speaking, of course.
This is Radio Freedom. It's 4 a.m.
I
All
like
quiet
how
across
in
the
the
Commonwealth.
Warhammer
Stay
universe,
safe out
the
there.
heroes
There are no heroes. There is no good and evil. Only subjective.
Yeah.
Chaos isn't inherently evil. They are always going to be a force of change. And if you go by some of the old fluff, they actually had virtues as well. Khorne, god of butchery, blood and skulls, used to be the god of basically martial prowess, the god of taking pride in what you did. He used to be offended and used to turn people into spawn, into chaos spawn, if they tried to gain his favour by giving him skulls of the unworthy. So if somebody tried to gain his favour by giving him a bag full of, say, baby skulls, he would be very pissed.
Yeah.
He would view that as an insult. Whereas now, as of about 5th edition, it's just all the butchery all the time, gives no fucks, so long as there is butchery and blood. So he went from somebody pretty cool to that. Tzeentch, god of change, so, you know, the one who loves the most about pasting tentacles onto everything.
Yeah.
And god of just as planned. Used to also be hope as well. Change can bring hope.
True.
So that used to be his thing. Nurgle, god of pestilence and decay. Ooh. Oh, there's a frame there. Cool.
Yeah.
He technically, even now, technically still is this. He's a god of love.
Okay.
He loves his followers. He loves everybody. He wants to give them what they want. Unfortunately, what he thinks they want are incredibly virulent, noxious diseases.
Analysis yellow. Potential perimeter breach. Beginning sweep.
So it's really bad Secret Santa.
Pretty much. I mean, A for effort. I mean, he's giving you what he thinks you want. It's just what he thinks you want, not what you actually want. And Slaanesh, god of hedonism and excess, used to be god of pride. It's like, okay, yes, you are literally doing every drug known to mankind and rocking out to music turned up to 42 while doing babies, because that's your thing. Slaanesh is all about the sensation, basically. But Slaanesh, it was always, but it was never about what you did. It was always the sensations, what you took pride and joy in. So he always used to be god of pride.
For it now.
Because that was what you enjoyed doing. That was your thing, basically.
Alert. Target lock lost. Neutralization by...
So, you know, he had all 4 Chaos Gods had a thing.
Okay.
There's some loot hiding in the water. So yeah, that was his thing. All 4 of them had a thing that wasn't as bad as as how they were portrayed. But that would give too much sympathy to Chaos. So, I got rid of it. Turned them into horrible monster men. Well, the Chaos Gods into what we recognise. So there was always another side to it. But they got, like I said, they got rid of it.
They thought that their characters changed over time as they wrote it out.
Yeah. Chaos had to be the bad guy. So, you had to get rid of anything that would make them sympathetic. Anything that would give you a reason to actually consider them to be anything other than horrible, horrible, evil monsters.
I'm always interested in stories where, like, both sides are technically both good and bad, they've got their points.
With the Imperium, we're supposed to view them as the good guys, but even somebody who started off just playing Space Marines, who is a fervent Imperium player, even I acknowledge that the Imperium fucked up. That the Imperium is not a nice place.
Yeah.
All quiet, which is how we like
It is very, very much a grimdark totalitarian state.
There we go.
I've recently started getting into the whole Gundam universe.
Yep.
Federation, Neo Zeon.
Well, Federation and Xeon. Neo Xeon comes later.
Which one's worse? Which side is
Neither is particularly brilliant. If you look at what Xeon used to be about, then yes, they are the better side. But that was under Xeon himself, the guy who created the faction and the independence movement, who wanted freedom from the very strict, harsh Federation. He was a man who actually had a reason for what he did. But Dakin, well, the Zarbi family assassinated him because they wanted the power. So, you know, standard fare there.
Yeah.
And that's when they turned into the Xeon we see in Mobile Suit Gundam. Because then they lost the 1 year war, and the Zarbi family were all killed off, Xeon got really fucked over by the Federation. The Federation created an organisation known as the Titans to oppress the Space Knights, to oppress all of the colonies because of what Xeon did. That turned... there were some Xeon remnants who didn't disarm, but didn't live inside Free anymore, which was basically Xeon's home colony. They exist. They had the fortress Axis. They lived there under the command of Haman Khan. We'll get to her in a moment. Now, during 7 years after the 1 year war, so during the events of Zeta,
well, that settles it. I am 100% screwed. Damn this fog. You'd think a lighthouse would be easy to find, but not in this. Never seen fog like it. Can't believe I let myself get talked into this. How do I know that woman wasn't crazy? I'm starting to think her whole story was some fantasy she'd cooked up to get attention. Taking out one trapper to avenge her husband's death? Sounded easy enough. Now I wish I'd stayed far away from this godforsaken island. Shit, something's coming!
After
on that. So during the events of Zeta, there was a rebel group, the AEUG, Anti-Earth Union Group, who were basically determined to essentially take out the Titans, just basically freedom for space noids, for the colonists. And similar but more underground way to Xeon, basically. Because obviously they weren't an outright army. There were some sympathizer groups on Earth, like Harbour. Haman came back with some of the remnants to try and see what was going on, try and pick a side. So both sides sent people to lobby support. So the Titans sent out a guy, and
hey,
One.
Hey.
If I got it.
And the AEUG both also sent out a guy. The AEUG sent out
I'll take a look.
Quattro Bagina. I won't tell you who he is if you don't know, because it's spoilers. But the representative for the Titans was Paptimus Scirocco. He assassinates the entire upper leadership of the Titans to take over himself. You can kind of see where this is going, can't you?
Yeah.
Suffice to say, Haman decided, fuck it, not going with either side, and turned the war into a melee à trois. To a three-way. And I'm well aware of how that sounds. Yes, yes, we know.
All's quiet across the Commonwealth. Stay safe out there.
Which accumulates in what was known as the Grips conflict. That's ultimately what this boiled down to. An incident known as the Grips conflict. And
that trapper who killed your husband.
it also
is
ended
dead.
up with Scirocco dead, protagonist Camille Badan in a coma, Quattro disappeared, and Haman gearing up for war. Weeks later, is the events of Double Zeta. In fact, less than a couple of weeks later, very soon after Zeta ends is when Double Zeta picks up, which creates the first Neo-Zeon War.
I found a holotape from the last guy you sent to the lighthouse.
I'll get to that in a minute.
He thought your whole story
After
was
the several years after the events of
but some things. Look at you, for instance. What's more,
of
the islands will respect you now.
Of Double Zeta, we get the second Neo-Zeon War, covered in the film Shah's Counterattack.
I was glad to help.
You certainly have.
And
now every good story's gotta have a happy ending, right?
after that, Amuro and Shah disappear. But the events of that lead directly into the events of Unicorn, which will then obviously feed into NT. Thunderbolt takes place during the 1 Year War. We'll come to that later because that's technically a side story.
In my family, there's no Daltons. The island, and that's it. Off you go now.
Then the next one we have as a series. Well, I wouldn't say a series. The next entry would be F91, the movie. Then we get a legendary version of that. We have loot to drop off.
It says the island's alive.
Then we have Victory Gundam. That sort of ends Universal Century. The last of the timeline so far. Then basically anything else set in the Universal Century is a side story set during or between particular series.
Broadcasting all day, all
After
across
that,
Nothing to
we get
report
to
at
our
the moment.
first
Stay tuned for updates.
alternate timeline, which is the future century of Mobile Fighter G Gundam. That's all one timeline. That's by itself. Then we have After Colony with Wing, After War with Gundam X, and then Correct Century or Correct Calendar with Turn A. Which was the last series at the time that Yoshiki Tomino had any hand in. He washed his hands of it after that. He hated Gundam at this point. He created it, but he hated how popular it had gotten. Tomino was known as Kill 'em all Tomino. He hated making sequels, so he'd generally kill off as many of the cast as possible to avoid a sequel. That's why Zeta had so many deaths. About the only person who didn't die or suffer in any way, shape, or form was Bright Noah. He's the only one throughout all of the Universal Century who never has anything horrible happen to him. But that's neither here nor there. Turn A was actually an attempt at them going, fuck it, we'll try and work out a way that these are actually all connected. So they tried to tie everything into a single timeline. So like, it was all of them were long after the end, long after UC happened. Well, UC happened, then Turn A happened at the start. Well, the start of Turn A happened, turned all technology into dust because it really fucks shit up. To the point where I say fucks shit up, I mean nanomachines. It just atomizes everything. Like, atomizes everything that is technology. Then obviously G Gundam happens, something else occurs, Gundam Wing happens, Gundam X happens, then we get the rest of Turn A. That's how it's supposed to go. According to that. But most people discount that because it does not make any sense at all. The timeline makes no sense. So they stopped trying. Then we have then we have the Cosmic Era, Seed and Destiny, and their associated works. Which then lead to Double Zero. Technically, is our timeline. Uses the AD timeline. We have Reconquista in G. Gundam Age.
This is Radio Freedom.
Then
all quiet, which is how we like it. Stay safe out there, people.
And then we have Build Fighter stuff, but that's something else entirely.
I know I'm not the only person here who's lost someone.
And we have then the IBO timeline, PD, post-disaster. We have enough Deathclaw hide to make a matched pair.
Excellent. Never have enough trophies, can you?
This is
Only when
Radio
everything
Freedom,
is a trophy,
broadcasting all day,
and you can't
all
build
across
anything
the
else.
Commonwealth. Nothing to report. Stay
Like,
safe out there.
the end of the world, because everything, all available resources have been turned into trophies.
No, if you look, build cap at the end.
I thought it was going to be like, instead of a throne of skulls, the throne of various trophies. And I suppose skulls can be trophies.
As my display case tells you.
Yeah. I still love how you specifically stole his skull.
It's a named skull. What do you expect from me?
I don't know. A throne of them? Like, take all of them? There's not that many in the game, though, is there?
There's not that many in the game, no, and they are all random. And you can't really make a throne of them if they don't throne properly.
Someone's gonna make a mod of that.
Thrones for the throne skull! Wait, I think something's backwards here. I still need to wire the house up.
Just like a settlement building thing, that takes like, say, 500 skulls, and you can make like an epic skull throne.
Yeah, see, there's his skull. Named Shemdro's skull. It's a named fucking skull. What do you expect from me? To leave it where it was?
I love how for a couple of sessions it was screaming.
Well, that's because I couldn't get it to sit properly.
That's because it hadn't yet calmed down from the fact you'd broken into its coffin and stolen its head.
I needed to take his sword.
You needed the sword.
Yes.
That's all you needed.
And the gold, silver, and copper that was in there.
Fair enough, but like the rest of him, you could have left. But in theory, you could have.
If they made his skull, if they didn't list his skull as an interactable object, I would have. This is Bethesda's fault. They let me interact with his skull.
It's your fault there is now the tormented soul of a deceased some guy called Shendral just going
Take
around.
care of your gun, it'll take care of you.
Assuming you
wait.
believe in such things, there's like a ghost of Shendral haunting the place.
Only if you believe in that. And it's not like I'm, you know, tormenting him. I haven't done anything to him. I've just put his skull so... His skull has a nice view of the wall. Look, it's nice and dry. Rain isn't leaking into the display case. He's dry. He's got visitors. Are you going to tell me off for giving him visitors?
What has this conversation become?
You tell me. It was your idea.
What do I get myself into?
Hang on, wait. I think I heard the door. Can you check?
Yeah.
Hood down. You don't need your hood up. Was there anybody at the door? Because I could have sworn I'd heard the door. It's next door. It's not our problem. Quarter to 4.
Oh, okay.
Why?
Just wondering. I've not got the best grasp of time.
Clearly.
I never have done, and this is just making it worse.
Right, we do need to get more concrete.
So we can finish up. Reactor 4.
Too soon.
It's been what, like
nearly 30 years, but still too soon. Don't forget, Fukushima happened. Fukushima.
Yeah,
that happened that happened a few years ago. Well, nearly 10 years ago now, 'cause it was 2011. But yeah, but still, nuclear disasters. Too soon.
Stay tuned for updates.
I didn't specifically reference Fukushima.
Yeah, but you were implying nuclear disaster.
Oh yes.
Nuclear disaster. Too soon.
When, if not now, when can we reference Chernobyl?
As long as no meltdowns happen for another 120 years.
Is that like the deadline for when disasters become hilarious?
That's when I'm calling it. Going to say it's hilarious.
Is there like in some?
Bearing in mind there is a lot of places that were affected by the fallout that weren't just the Ukraine.
Yeah, true.
The fallout was thrown high up into the atmosphere.
Mhm.
Some of it landed in Wales.
Yeah, loads of sheep had to be killed, didn't they?
Years, they're allowed to again now, but for years there were places in Wales that you could not sell lamb because it was still tainted. Even generations on.
I love the idea that, like, some official, like some government official,
You are a curious specimen.
calendar on their
Despite
calendar
our
in some glass
friendly
case.
town doing its best to
So it's
chase
like,
you out,
say
you
100
keep helping
years
us
ago, it's
ingrates
like mark
all the
different
time.
dates
Got to
when
ask,
disasters are allowed to become
why do you
hilarious.
keep at it?
They're good people and some...
Huh?
Sure.
Most folk here are sick. Heck, it took my family, but there's a way.
I'd love to change them.
Do it right. In olden times, legends say, once the would-be captain killed the Mirelurk Queen, or Fog, you do this?
I'm ready to...
You what? There's an old mire. Go there and then wait.
This is the quest we start later. So we have that ship to go visit and depopulate of raiders, well, trappers.
They don't count.
No, they do not.
They barely count right.
Let's not go back into that.
I'm not going for that. I'm just
that is
saying.
how the bucket started.
Is it?
Yes.
I don't really remember how it started. I just remember mad laughter and various images, all of them painted in red in my head.
Well, it started from considering raiders as less than the lowest order of life form.
I didn't start bringing. Did I?
No.
Oh, thank God for that.
But you weren't all that far.
For the record, I'm heavily against eugenics. Just putting that out there.
Neutralization operation complete.
These wolves tried to bite me. They attacked me!
It was self-defense.
With a shotgun? They attacked me!
I love that, like, someone's got their face blown off, and just like, the police show up, and it's like, saying like a shop where the police show up. It was self-defense. She had a spoon.
She threatened to cut my heart out with a rusty spoon.
You're tuned to Radio Freedom,
Why a
voice
spoon?
of the Minutemen.
Because it would hurt more.
All quiet.
I feel like
Which is
that's a
how we
reference
like
to
it.
something.
Stay safe out
Yes,
there,
I think it's Monty Python.
That sounds about right.
There's actually a trope for it as well.
Of course there is.
Last time we're going to pause this for something like this.
Yeah. TV, like, what was it? What's it like? TV tropes?
Yep. Cut his heart out with a spoon.
That's what I like about these.
It's Blackadder.
Ah.
That was half right.
Yeah.
It's a trope. Cut his heart out with a spoon. Live action TV. It might be a reference. Oh, the trope namer is from Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. So it wasn't Blackadder, but it did still have Alan Rickman.
Ah.
So, no, hang on. Alan Rickman wasn't in any of Blackadder stuff, so, yeah, ignore me. I'm going to cut his heart out with a spoon, exclaimed by the Sheriff of Nottingham. The Sheriff's dragon lampshades the trope, asking why he doesn't use a more suitable implement. The Sheriff snaps, because it's dull, you twit, it'll hurt more! And when he does kill the dragon, Guy of Gisborne, with a sword, the last words he says to him, well, at least I didn't use a spoon.
I'm now just imagining, like, ceremony, like, I forget who it was, Aztec or Inca, whoever did, like, human sacrifices cutting the heart out.
Most of Mesoamerica did.
Just that, but the sacrificial dagger is just a spoon.
This is why I should stop telling you things, isn't it?
Why? Because I'll inevitably twist them into some sort of human sacrifice blood ritual.
Yes.
Your problem with this being?
Because I don't need a police investigation. Not because I've got anything to hide, but because it's inconvenient for me.
There won't be any police.
Why? Because you'll drag them out to the altar you have hidden out in the woods and will sacrifice them bloodily by cutting their hearts out of a spoon.
Am I that obvious?
Yes.
I was thinking...
Do you really need me to point this out to you?
Possibly, yeah. Yeah, really, officer, it's just over here in the woods. Come on, a bit further. Why are you wearing a bucket on your head? Oh, that's unrelated.
It's 1 p.m. This is Radio Freedom, voice of the Nothing to report at the moment. Stay tuned for updates.
Alright. I don't even know where this comes from at this point.
Your very shaky grasp on sanity.
What's that?
The thing you're supposed to have that makes everybody not look at you like you're some kind of monster.
Oh, where do I buy it from?
You don't.
Oh.
Well, sanity and morals.
Once again, what are those?
Things you're supposed to have that mean you don't go off and commit horrible crimes like murder every 2 seconds.
Ah.
I know you cannot buy them from anywhere.
Those sound inconvenient.
Yes, well, you're supposed to have them. It's pretty much considered law. And no, you cannot kill somebody and steal their morals. It doesn't work that way. Yes, I did preempt you. Again.
I wasn't actually going to say that.
You were thinking it.
Oh, yes.
So I preempted you.
Just for the record, officers, I'm not actually insane. I'm just playing up to the part at this point.
That is debatable.
It's in case I ever get accused of murder and they use this as evidence. Well, if this gets brought up in the courtroom, I'm going down regardless.
The question will be whether or not it's life or just permanently inhabiting a psychiatric facility.
I think after all this, I think the question will be whether the judge should just pull out the revolver and end it there.
Because judges are not allowed to be judge, jury, and executioner.
I think they'd make an exception.
The death penalty in England is enforced by hanging, and we haven't hung anybody for like 200 years, and we repealed the death penalty in the 1960s.
Wasn't it a thing we could get it for like setting fires?
Naval dockyard. That was literally still the only hangable, the only hangable offence in the UK. However, we haven't had a hangman since about 1964. That would be a very good question, so I don't have the answer. Most likely the latter. Ah, shit. This is what happens if you try and point blank a legendary venomous angler.
Ah, you end up getting your head bitten off.
That was my arm.
Oh, you end up getting your arm bitten off.
Oh, fuck.
Fuck!
God damn it, that's broken the stream. Fuck. Error has occurred.